Well, if that doesn't get you in a good mood, I don't know what will. Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Happy Friday to you. Friday, as it were, here on Ben and Woods this morning. I'm Woodsy. To my right, Paul Reindl, our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
How did your hoops game go last night? All right, never mind.
Trying to decide if we are more like the Mets or the Padres.
Oh.
Just high expectations and failing to live up to them.
Well, I can relate, certainly, as a husband, a father, a friend, to all of those, Paulie. I can relate to every single one of those. No problem at all. All right, well, I mean, you don't have to get into the details. So you lost, I'm assuming.
We lost by like 12.
Lost by 12.
It was like our third straight loss. We
just going down the tubes. It's fine. It happens.
Hey,
There's no leadership. The chemistry is bad. Too many egos.
I answered my own question.
When you fall behind, you just can't rally?
Can't rally.
From behind?
I answered my own question. We're more like the Padres because I can't pinpoint why we're losing. Like, we're getting good looks.
We got
we're playing good
scores,
defense.
right? We can shoot.
They're hitting every part of the rim and just not dropping in.
The other teams just everything's just finding the hole.
Yeah.
They don't call it the hole. No, they do. They call it the hole in basketball.
Take it to the hole.
I took it to the hole.
Yeah.
Or the house. No, that's
Take it to the
football.
house.
That's a touchdown.
That's football, yeah. That's true. To Paulie's right, Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning, Benjamin.
See, I think Friday would be great. If there was a day of the week that you wouldn't mind doing twice, Friday's not a bad one to choose.
Yeah. I like Fridays. I do. You get like, for us at least, you get kind of like the 3-day weekend-ish. You know, you get off early and you're like, all right, I get the whole Friday to myself and no work tomorrow.
Even if you do have a normal work day on Friday, it just feels different. When you know that you've got the most amount of weekend ahead of you, even if you're tired, like 5 o'clock comes around Friday, exhausted from the week, that feeling of knowing I've got the maximum amount of weekend still ahead of me.
Feels great.
I think Friday working is even better than like Sunday afternoon not working, because on Sunday afternoon, you know, I gotta start locking in. I'm going back to work here soon, and you can't enjoy yourself anymore. Well, at least in my mind.
They call them the Sunday scaries, and I don't get.
We do Sunday blues at our house, but yeah,
I don't get the Sunday scaries because I've got 2 kids under the age of 6, so.
You've got the Tuesday scaries,
the Wednesday scaries, the Thursday scaries. But I love Friday afternoon because I typically have the day to myself. Now, Hannah and her girlfriends today are going to the spa, and I'm so happy for her because she has worked her ass off these last few months and has really crushed it. She really looks forward to these days. So I'm picking up the kids early. So there goes my day. But I'm taking them to Dave & Buster's, which is very fun. We love the Dave & Buster's, a little reward for them getting through the week. Taylor just started preschool again. Bo's crushing it in kindergarten. Though we've had already a couple of, one issue so far. So a few days a week, he takes the bus to this area that's near our house. That's this giant patch of land. And they call it Farm Lab. And, dude, the guy loves catching bugs. He loves being in the dirt. He's a 5-year-old boy. So he loves this. But to get him there, they put him on a bus. So I picked him up yesterday from Farm Lab.
it's a field trip.
It's like a field trip 3 days a week.
They're already doing field trips.
Yeah, so they get out of school at, 2, and then they go to Farm Lab, and I pick him up at 4:30, and he gets a couple of hours of playing in the dirt, catching bugs with his friends, running around. It's great, right? But I pick him up. I go, how's school? It's great. How was the bus? And he just looked at me. I go, what? What happened on the bus? He goes, well, this older kid got on the bus, and I was sitting with Jackson, his best friend. He said he called us babies. And I said to him, I'm not a baby. You're a baby. I said, all right, well, you can do better. You can do better. That's not a bad start, right? I'm not the baby. You're the baby. I said, I've taught you better than that, but I get it.
I know you are, but what am I?
It's like this is like really one of your first interactions with a bully. Yeah. So I'm glad you responded. He goes, yeah, he also called us, he called us bitches. And I go, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, he called us bitches. And I looked at him, I gave him the dad look of, oh, are you embellishing? And he goes, Dad, I swear, I promise. And he started getting defensive. And I go, if you're for real, like I'm gonna go ruin someone's life. So tell me the truth. And he goes, no, he did. So we called Jackson's mom and said, hey, can you try to verify with Jackson if anything happened on the bus today? So about an hour goes by. She writes back and goes, "Oh, apparently somebody called them bitches and baby." And I was like, "All right, well, we got first parental fight coming up real soon." I lost my mind. Hannah lost her mind. Fired off the gnarliest email. I was like, "I'm gonna have to." I mean, this kid may be 7 years old, but somebody's getting in somebody's face. And I just go, "That's unacceptable." Like, where's the authority on the bus to say, "Hey, everyone just sit down, zip your lips, strap in. We're going to Farm Lab. Let's be on our way." Started thinking about it. That's unacceptable. It's like you can't. You're not going to do it to my kid. And I'm like, and I thought I was laying in bed last night thinking about it deeply, and I go, this is why kindergarten was so hard, because it's now real. Like, there's no more. This is real. You're now in real school with older kids, and it just really domed me out. I had a hard time sleeping last night, but. So we had the back-to-school night last night as well. So we had the sitter. We went to the school, Hannah and I did. And so they bring in, here's their arts, and here's all what we're working on. Oh, cool. All right. These are the honey sticks that we get, the fake honey sticks that they work for and they put in their bear pouch. Oh, all right on. Great. Sit down, watch a little presentation. And then the teacher says, and this is why I am an idiot. The teacher says, "So we really want to work on the kids' ability to hold their pencils, because a lot of them are just fisting their pencils." And I go, like that, and I started giggling uncontrollably. I get the swung around elbow to the shoulder from my wife, and I couldn't control myself. Yeah, many of them are just fisting their pencils. And I go, I just lost it. I'm like, we just had this conversation on the air the day before about, the hotel.
Fister? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so it just popped into my head, and I started laughing uncontrollably. And I'm like, this is the worst. Why does she bring me anywhere? She should just leave me at home.
How is it that in a classroom full of kindergartners that you have the most juvenile sense of humor of anyone there?
I don't know, dude.
Are you really surprised?
I don't know.
No, not really.
It was just a throwback from the show, and I just lost it, dude.
Is it possible this so-called bully on the bus simply saw Bo, knew who he was,
right?
Walked by and said, "Do the show, bitches," or something like that. Like to those.
He said, "Do the show, bitch."
Yeah.
Like that. Maybe
It could be
possible.
See, now for a lot of kindergartners, someone says that, it just goes right over their head. They don't even
know what it is.
They wouldn't know what it is.
Bitches.
Doesn't even register. Of course, with Bo, he knows all the words.
Well,
so.
I said, but what's this kid? What's he look like? And he's like, "Oh, he's got short hair." And I said, "Well, you're done riding the bus. That's not how. I'll just no more Farm Lab. I'll just pick." And I can't spend my entire life following behind him with a dustpan,
Right.
But he's in freaking kindergarten, and if he gets nervous about being on the bus to go to daycare when his dad is sitting home watching TV, I'm a crap parent if I let that happen. So I'm like, I'll just go. So now every day, instead of a few days a week having a little time, that's fine. I'll just go pick him up and get him off the bus. Nobody needs to be calling him a bitch in kindergarten, right?
No, that's
not right.
Really, never in elementary school.
Right, really,
probably.
never in elementary school.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, all right. Well, if I need to have a talk with this name redacted, then I certainly will. But I just think at this point, I'm just going to yank him off the bus and just pick him up every day, take him home instead, go play ball, whatever. But yeah, so it's been an interesting, eye-opening experience. I know many parents have been through the same thing, and their kids also fisting their pencils, and so yeah, we got a lot to work on. We have a lot to work on, Benjamin.
We actually may have two guests calling us from the Pfister Hotel this morning in
Which is
Milwaukee.
amazing.
Bob Melvin, manager of the San Diego Padres, on a Friar Friday. He's going to be with us at 8 o'clock. Maybe he's already heading to the ballpark by then, but that would be fairly early for it's a 5 o'clock start our time, 7 o'clock in Milwaukee. So he's probably still at the hotel. And then Tony Gwynn Jr. at 9 a.m. our time is also going to call in from the road. So see if the Padres can get off to a good start on this 6-game road trip after a day off yesterday. I think everybody okay with the day off. Again, We still have the light on because they won on Wednesday. This is 2 straight days where we haven't had to talk about anything massively disappointing. That's feels like a win to me that we're here on a Friday morning and nothing bad has happened with the baseball team in the last 48 hours.
Well, I mean, other than, our 8th inning guy getting suspended for sticky stuff and Bob Melvin having to play with 24-man roster instead of 26, which we'll ask him about. I don't, I don't want to go easy on Bob Melvin, certainly, just because they won the last game. They got a huge month ahead of them, a huge month. And the other thing, though, is I'm not going to rail the guy for what's happened in the past. There's nothing they can do. But I do want to know, hey, man, are we going to see some actual fight from this team down the stretch? And how, as the manager, are you going to make sure that happens? How do you do that? How do you make sure? What are Bob Melvin's non-negotiables?
I mean, we see
forward?
fight from the Padres at least 3 times a week.
Yes.
They're very consistent in
no
that
question.
They will put up great fight 60% of the time this season. And then the other 40%, it's like, what's going on? I have no idea. So, yeah we'll talk with Bob Melvin at 8 o'clock. Before that, though, Crossing Streams Friday with Craig Elsten at 7:35. And joining us at the bottom of the hour, a piece we've been talking about for a couple of days, but we really needed the author on to kind of help go into some of the details. Dan Szymborski from Fangraphs kind of projected the Padres' future with the contracts they're locked into and, what could be facing this team, a reckoning possibly in terms of declining production for players, in the next 4 to 5 years and what this window possibly looks like. Is there any way to keep it open, or are the Padres doomed to see the window slam shut on them here in the next couple of years if something doesn't happen quickly?
What's so wild, I was thinking about it. We've been talking about windows, Ben. You and I have been together 5 years, going on 6, right? We're in our 6th year together, is that right? Yeah, sixth year together. We've been talking about windows the whole time, and we've had a different idea for when the window is every single year, and it's what we've been told. It's what we've kind of gleaned from the information that we had. But now you look at it and go, is not only am I going to ask him about how dire it looks, I'm also going to ask him, is there a way out? And is the only way out winning? Is that the only thing that helps is to win baseball games and win a World Series in the next year or two? Or, I mean, is there a way to offload some of these things to get kind of back to a better position? So Dan knows a lot about baseball. He knows a lot about how these things work. So I want to ask him, hey, man, it's fun to bitch about what's happened and where we are. How do we get past it? How do we solve the problem?
We also have a local situation developing if you happen to be out early on the roadways, especially in the vicinity of the 15. A statement just out from Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. We are aware of an accident involving an FA-18 Hornet in the vicinity of MCAS Miramar. Happened, looked like kind of overnight, middle of the night. Aircraft is not part of the 3rd Marine Air Wing, but was operating out of Miramar. Crash site is on government property east of the air station. No indications of damage to property on the ground. Search and rescue actions are ongoing. So if you do see emergency activity, obviously give them a wide berth and hopefully everybody okay. Don't have any other details, but if anybody's kind of going up or hearing something going on, that is out this morning.
Now, I was driving right past there from North County down the 15. I didn't see
anything.
Any lights, any notion that there was anything wrong.
Okay,
obviously I believe you, but yeah, it hadn't affected the 15 at whatever that was, 4:45 in the morning.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Kelly will probably have maybe details if there's any traffic implications at all. As Paulie said, didn't see any on our way in this morning, but that doesn't mean there won't be. So we will keep an eye on that, obviously, and Kelly will have all the traffic updates this morning. Have our regular features on a Friday as well, including Take on Woods, Don't Do This, the Daily Ditty, wrapping up a week of collaborations as the theme. I believe Paulie gets the last selection this week. We'll do that next. And get ready for Dan Szymborski to join us to talk about the Padres' middle to long-term future here over the next few years and what it's looking like with contracts and players that you're going to expect to see some declining performances. So we'll talk about that coming up next. We are underway on a Friday, 15 minutes in, and glad to have you with us on San Diego's #1 sports station. Back after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
I'm shocked that nobody has picked this perfect song in however long we've been doing the Ditty.
I was too. I thought for sure this had been used, and I kind of thought this is like the collaboration, right?
Yeah, this is like maybe the best collaboration of all time. So good.
Da-dum.
God bless. Two absolute kings, man.
Yeah.
Ruined by Vanilla Ice, who's mine goes bum 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 ba-da-dum. It's different. It's one of my favorite behind the musics of all time.
So good.
Somebody says Run DMC. Yeah, it's not as good as this one though.
Somebody's already used that.
Yeah, but we've used that,
Walk
which is a
This
good
Way.
one. Yeah, it's a really good one. Brought Aerosmith back from the dead.
Yeah.
That collab, but it's not as good as Under Pressure. So there you go.
This hour on Ben and Woods brought to you by Smart and Final. This Labor Day, stock up and save. Shop Smart and Final and get low prices on everything you need to throw the ultimate Labor Day cookout. Get it all in one trip, and that's it at Smart and Final. So Dan Szymborski is going to join us in a few minutes. And, what they do at Fangraphs, they project one of the things they do. They project out players' performance in future years, just based on the numbers. Now, no one knows the future for sure, and no one's claiming that they're going to be 100% accurate. It's an amalgam of different possibilities, but ultimately, the reason they can do these projections is that everybody has a history, and they look at hundreds and hundreds of players over hundreds and hundreds of seasons, and they kind of know. They have an idea of what most guys will do based on numbers they're putting up now. And then as they get older, what that translates to in 2 years, in 5 years, in 8 years if you sign a long-term contract. And Dan wrote an article earlier this week under the headline, "The Padres Have a Complicated Future." And he projected out his Zips projections for some of the Padres under long-term deals like Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth, some of the pitchers like Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove. And I guess what's super concerning is we all understand instinctively that Manny Machado in 10 years when he's still under contract with the Padres and Xander Bogaerts in 10 years when he's still under contract, not going to be as good of a player as they are today. None of us are as good 10 years from now as we are today. That's just simply a fact of life and aging, that you lose some skills, reflexes decline, speed goes down. So you understand that.
I'm so scared to see what I'm like in 10 years. If I make it 10 years, how bad is it going to be?
But what I found the most concerning about this piece, and again, no one knows the future, it's that it's not 10 years that the declines really hit. Like for Manny Machado's Zips projections, by 2029, so still this decade, when he's still got 5 years left on his current extension that he just signed, batting average, 227, on-base percentage, 295, home runs, 9, RBI, 40. I mean, that's an abysmal projection for halfway through the contract extension. Xander Bogaerts, 2029, this decade, 242, 6 home runs, 29 RBI. I mean, if those were still the middle of your lineup guys, you're projecting to be one of the worst offenses in baseball. If you're relying on those kind of numbers by the end of this decade.
15 combined home runs or something.
Yeah. Some of the guys who are currently hitting 4 or 5.
We're dead. Remember what Eno told us yesterday? I asked him this exact question. Remember what he said? Don't think about it, man.
Jake Cronenworth, 2029, 224 average, 5 home runs, 24 runs batted in.
Oh, my God.
This is the infield of the future, and not that distant of a future either. That's why
6 years?
That's why he writes the Padres have a complicated, and if you want to slip a different C word in there, concerning future.
I was thinking of a different C word entirely. So, oh, my.
4 letters?
5. Here, you turn your mics up. Right.
I mean,
Yeah. So.
Now,
Don't think about it, man, is a T-shirt we should make.
Now, perhaps
Just don't think about it, man.
Now, it's not all bad.
Isn't it?
Fernando Tatis Jr.'s projections through the end of his deal, 2034. Even then, he's still projected to hit over 20 homers and still be a plus over 2 WAR player in 2034. And before that, 37, 37, 36, 34, 32, 30. Even as he declines, he's still a 5. Almost 6 WAR player for many, many years to come. His long-term deal still looks quite good based on those projections. But
Rafa says it's got to be impossible to actually predict this, though. Yeah, it's not. It's not a. Well, number one, it's not an exact science. But you know what else it isn't? They don't just guess. It's not just throwing darts at a board and being like, "What do you think? Somewhere between 3 and 9 home runs." Bam. No, it's based on players of similar caliber,
lots of data over many, many years and many seasons.
It's way beyond my brain function. But that said, right, are there players that exceed every year?
Absolutely.
About
50% of them do, and then about 50% fall short of their projections.
Yeah.
Those should be right in the middle of what you would expect from these guys from each year.
So you can certainly say, well, look. Is it as dire as this article makes it out to be? In 6 years, maybe. But that still gives us 6 years of these guys to get on the right track, to figure it out, to learn how to play together, to learn how to win together. It's certainly, you'd rather go into next season with that core again. I would, at least. And a whole off season, maybe spending some time together, getting together in spring training, not having to leave for the WBC, all of that stuff. Like, hey, man, looking at each other in the eye and going, any petty BS we had last year, we got to put it behind us. I'm embarrassed about last year. I know you guys are too. Like, it's dire, but it's dire in 6 years.
But remember, these aren't worst case scenarios. This is the middle scenario.
That's the
now,
middle.
It could be better. It also could be worse. And there are. When the Washington Nationals signed Steven Strasburg after the 2019 World Series, I'm sure they were thinking for their how many 200 and whatever million that he signed that he'd make more than 8 starts for them the rest of his career. But
can you believe that?
Unfortunately, as we found out yesterday, Steven Strasburg not going to be able to come back from the injury. He's going to be retiring.
8 starts in 5 years?
8 starts since 2019, since the World Series in 2019. So. This is the 4th year since then.
2021, 2022.
And while they have reached an agreement to defer some of his money, he's still going to make every single dollar of his contract that he signed in retirement now going forward. But, he's calling it a career here.
Yeah, and we can talk about that later in the show. But did you see he's the only 1-1 to ever win a World Series MVP? The only one the only number 1 overall pick to win a World Series MVP is Steven Strasburg from right here in San Diego, California.
One of the most dominant runs you will ever see in postseason performance.
Would you rather have had that career? He made a ton of money. Take the money out of it. But would you have rather had would you rather have Rich Hill's career, or would you rather have had Steven Strasburg's? To be so elite.
Does Rich Hill have a ring?
He might. He might. Think about, or Jay, maybe somebody with a longer career. Would you rather have had a longer, average career, but you're in the big leagues for 15 years, or would you rather have had
no rings for Rich?
No, I think burn bright, burn out early,
go
but
hard,
have spectacular, and then
it's better.
We get asked it all the time. Hypotheticals. Hey, if it meant trading so and so,
would
you take it for a World Series? The answer is always yes. At least for me.
For me too.
If it's a World Series, if it's a guy that makes 8 All-Star games and has a 22-year career,
hits 40 bombs every year, or you win a World Series.
Steven Strasburg, and all you did was play 6 years, but you won a World Series.
But not just being the end of the bench guy to win a World Series.
The MVP
of the World Series. That's what makes the difference to me.
6-0 in the playoffs that year.
Yeah,
you're legendary. You're a World Series MVP. You did something legendary in your short-ish career.
Yeah, you and Stephen Pierce.
True. All right,
I'll take Stephen Pierce's career any day.
We got to take a quick timeout. When we come back, Dan Szymborski from Fangraphs will talk a little bit more about those projections, and I'm sure it's not quite as dire as he makes it seem, or maybe it's worse.
And is there a way out?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, is there a way out? And yeah, there's a lot to think about and a lot to talk about. So.
All right, we'll get to that coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's Ben and Woods on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog. Fresh, human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. Good health starts with healthy food. That goes for dogs, too. Farmer's Dog delivers fresh, human-grade dog food right to your door, so it's easy to quit the burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/dogdays. Got Dan Szymborski from Fangraph standing by. We'll get to that right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Got a collision on the Poway Road off-ramp southbound 15. Also reports of a possible brush fire in Balboa Park, south 163, right before the 5, over to the right shoulder. Coach Quintera and Joe Musgrove's choice. They're a different kind of dealership looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. A pleasure to welcome back to the program
Dan, the Grim Reaper Szymborski on Ben and Woods this morning.
Morning, Dan. You offended him, and he's gone now. He's not. He's gone. He didn't want to.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, morning, guys. Sorry, I did not realize I had to reap souls. I had to find my scythe for my robe.
Your science.
So your piece from earlier this week, the Padres have a complicated future, sparked some discussion, and we wanted to get you back on the show. And I don't think that any of us have our heads in the sand, that we expected Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts to be anywhere near the players they are today in 10 years when their contracts are coming to an end. But I guess the Zips projections of especially those guys in particular, and for me it was how quickly kind of the projections haven't fallen off the map. I mean, not 10 years, but like by the end of this decade, single-digit home runs, on-base percentages under 300,
37 RBIs,
$30+ million salaries.
God.
It was very concerning as a Padres fan, Dan.
Well, really, when you project any player in their 30s, the 30s are a decade with a lot of risk for major leaguers. It happened to Pujols, it happened to Cabrera. Now, those were extremely severe declines, but generally speaking, the 30s are usually less productive and less healthy than the 20s were. And when you sign a player to a 10-year contract, you kind of expect to get the most out of them in the first few years of the deal, maybe the first 4, 5, 6 years of the contract, and then you kind of take the back half as the penalty for getting that first half. But when you start off the contract and you're underperforming, then it really starts to worry things, let's just say.
Yeah, that's exactly how we felt. I brought it up earlier in the week, Dan. I can remember vividly. Ben was out, but I looked at our producer, Paul, and I go, I don't care what Xander does when I'm 58 years old, because, Xander is a proven winner. He can come in, he can be a leader, and I don't care what it looks like when I'm 58. I'm 48 now, but come to find out, it's more like when you're 52 is when this thing is could go south potentially, and maybe even sooner. So it is a little bit dire. I wanted to ask you this because the article it sparked a lot of discussion amongst Padre fans. Is there, other than just winning games, right, and playing better next season, which we're all kind of hoping for, is there a way out of contracts, like not a way out of the contract, but is there a way out for the Padres to kind of get it back and start over, I guess?
Well, I think I compare them a lot to the Astros in a way as kind of a good example, in that the Astros, you look from 2017 to 2022, and you had very few of the same players on both teams, even though they both won the World Series. The Padres, the key is they're going to have to transition to kind of the next generation with, Machado and Bogaerts still on the roster, but you're going to have to see that farm system get productive again. And there are signs that it has been, but they are going to have to find players, and it's not going to be as easy given that there are the payroll does not have an infinite cap. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. They're going to have to do it in a less expensive fashion than this first wave of talent. So it's possible easily, but it's not certain.
One area that it feels like the Padres could do something fairly short term, and most of the analytics have been very clear on this, is Jake Cronenworth as a first baseman is not working out. Now, he's having a down season, would be having a down season at any position, but can you explain why Jake Cronenworth has so much more value at second base than he does at first base?
Well, one of the things is when you look at positional value for a player, generally speaking, it's easy to find a good defensive first baseman and a good defensive second baseman. But the thing about Cronenworth is that moving to first base with a much higher offensive requirement to be a contributor at the position, his defense did not improve accordingly. He's actually turned to be a very middling defensive first baseman, and a middling defensive second baseman is a lot more valuable than a middling defensive first baseman, and his offense would have already been a lot less valuable at first if it hadn't declined, but he's had a pretty rough season at times, kind of an odd season, and right now the Padres don't have a logical place to really play him unless they're going to turn him back into kind of a super utility guy.
You know, and the wild thing, we're talking to Dan Szymborski here from Fangraphs on Ben and Woods. You know, the wild thing is you can look at what A.J. Preller did a few years ago and bringing Hassan Kim in, and he has improved every single season. And it's just, he's such a delight to watch. He's plus at everywhere with a glove. I mean, he can
Dude
fill
plays
it.
every game like it's game 7.
He does. He plays every game like Pete Rose, Dan. It's just crazy to see. And, of course, we've only got him under contract for one more year, so he's going to be looking for a big extension. Juan Soto, of course, is having an odd year, but I think it's hard to look at Juan Soto and saying he's having a bad year. He's going to be a free agent after next year, so it looks like if you want to keep this core of at least those 6 guys together, it's going to cost Peter Seidler a fortune to keep all of those guys.
Yeah, there's a big money crunch coming up, and it's hard to see where you keep everyone, because as I noted in the piece, they have a lot committed already. That's already in the books before you get an extension for Kim, before you extend Soto, and that is why the next generation of Padres talent, they're going to have to develop that, or they're going to need to find like a lot more Cronenworths, undervalued kind of older prospect-ish players. And that's the challenge they face, and it is a daunting one.
Dan, one player that is not addressed in your piece because he's not signed long-term by the San Diego Padres is Juan Soto. Now, Juan is young, like Fernando Tatis Jr., who does fare well in the projections over the entire course of his deal. I mean, the numbers are good. We were talking about that earlier. What does it look like for Juan Soto? I mean, if he's looking for a 10, 12, 14-year deal, does Juan Soto project as a player that, for the kind of money that he's going to be asking for, will be worth it over the course of a long-term contract?
Well, I think it depends how high that money gets. Right now, the contract he turned down from the Nationals, I bet that he ends up somewhere around that, because while he's still an excellent player, he doesn't feel like he has that same upside he did in 2021. He hasn't really grown as a player since then. He's a lower average player than he was at the time. But we are talking well north of $300 million, because the thing about Soto is the same reason that Tatis cost so much money and Machado did and Trout did, is because signing a player to a 10-year contract when they're 25 is a much different thing than signing a player to a 10-year contract when they're 30.
And I do wonder, and I hate to say it because I've been a staunch supporter of Juan Soto. I just, if there's anybody I trust to barrel a baseball off of the game's best pitchers, it's him. And I know it hasn't been what a lot of Padre fans were expecting. The expectations were through the roof. They wanted 40 bombs. They wanted 360 average, 130 RBIs. But for him, I hate to even bring it up, but is that the way out? Moving a piece like Juan Soto before the season next year to get some of those guys that you were talking about to help fill out that very expensive roster already?
It might very well be, and that's of course the problem when you just can't sign players, is you sometimes have to make tough decisions you might not otherwise want to. If they're not realistically going to sign him. I mean, they very well could, but if they would know best how they feel about the current contract situation and their chances for extending a sufficient amount of money, then you have to ask yourself, is the benefit we get from them larger than we get for having him for just one more season? So there are some noodle scratchers, I guess, that they're going to have to solve.
Dan, you also do some pitching projections for the two long-term signees for the Padres, Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove. I think, as you'd expect, Yu's performance going to decline as he's getting closer to age 40 here at the end of his career. Joe does okay. We're big fans of, obviously, Joe Musgrove here, but how much hesitation do you now have on pitching projections, given it's hard to project next week on a pitcher when you see stories, Shohei Ohtani's torn UCL, Steven Strasburg, this week back in the news again with his retirement. But, we knew that contract could be dicey. We had no idea, though, when he signed it, that he would make so few starts and we'd almost never see him again in the big leagues. That must be the hardest thing in your line of work to do, is to project pitching.
Yeah, and you always, and you guys mentioned the Grim Reaper, but you always feel like the embodiment of death when you project a picture, because so many things can happen to a pitcher. People are always kind of annoyed, like, why aren't you projecting this guy who threw 200 innings this year to only throw 150 in 3 years from now? And you're like, well, there's a lot of things that go wrong with pitchers, unfortunately. And every team, when they invest in a pitcher, has to take into account that huge, huge injury downside.
How well does the Zips projections do, looking at minor league numbers and like translating them to what they could be in the big leagues, or is that not enough data to really work?
Well, once we have the high minors, then you do almost as well as with major league players. Where you really struggle is when a projection system or any kind of tool doesn't really have data. When you're talking someone like right out of college, you can't really project based on college numbers, and even like the very lowest minors are the level of play is so inconsistent down there. But generally speaking, when you're talking a guy at AA, AAA, you're still going to have larger errors one way or the other than normal, but you at least have a pretty solid basis, because we do have a lot of information on the competitive level of AAA and AA and how players do when they move to the majors.
So after 2 games at AA, Ethan Salas, clear Hall of Famer in the future, says Dan Szymborski. Dan, appreciate it. Before you go, just curious, I don't know if you had time to run it yet, but after the injury to Shohei Ohtani, heading into free agency, are there new projections out, knowing he's probably not going to be pitching at least next year? I mean, would be the assumption at this point, or at least not the same that we thought he would be, yet may still be a hitter projecting forward?
My colleague Jay Jaffe just wrote a piece on it with some projections. And when you talk about a player having Tommy John revision surgery, their second one, if that happens, it's pretty brutal. They have a much lower rate of coming back at full strength. Going into before the game the other night, Zips actually projected a contract for him, if we looked at the first 10 years, around $500 million. And once you look at Tommy John surgery, both for the declined pitching quality, playing time, and, it is a drag. He's going to lose half a season possibly as a hitter. It kind of costs him about $170 million in the projections, which is brutal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, it only takes one owner to still believe he's a $500 million player to get that kind of deal. But
his name's Steve Cohen. So, Steve Cohen still exists. So, I mean, it's always out there.
So does Peter Seidler.
So does Peter Seidler, yeah. You're absolutely right.
Dan, really appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Good stuff this week. Gave us a lot of fodder and content, and it's always good catching up with you, man. Thank you.
Always fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Dan Szymborski from Fangraphs with the Zips projections. And, yeah, I mean, there's legitimate cause for concern long-term for the Padres. But I guess if they had been killing it this year, I mean, if they're in first place right now and everything's going well, you look at that and go, yeah, sure.
I have said it like a mantra
like a
all
mantra.
year,
Who
and
cares?
I stand by it, that yes, we all know Manny and Xander in their 40s. It ain't going to look pretty.
It's not going to look good.
No one
and
minds
the whole
paying.
plan is all centered around winning a World Series
in the
this
next
year,
couple
next
years.
year,
Yeah.
the year after that.
No one minds paying the piper. The bill comes due at some point. We all understand instinctively that that's how life works, and there are trade-offs. What's so incredibly frustrating is that we feel like, all right, we've racked up all this credit card debt to enjoy ourselves, and we're not enjoying ourselves at all.
Not even in the slightest.
We're just putting ourselves in huge debt for nothing at all at the moment, and that is what really is gnawing, I think, at us as Padres fans.
Yeah, it's when you have to take a realist approach. Being a fan, you really shouldn't ever concern yourself with the financials of a team and things like that. But I think with the San Diego Padres, you look at what Dan laid out and you go, okay, yeah, this is dire. And again, there are ways out. There are ways to do things, and you just have to get really creative. And honestly, frankly, you have to get a little bit lucky, too.
Well, you need production from some young guys coming up at some point. And, by the way, you have to have the guts to play them sometimes.
Correct.
Over higher-priced players who aren't producing.
And that's
that you wonder whether the Padres have the stomach for, at least under A.J. Preller. Because, he loves his stars and his veterans, but at some point, when do you say enough is enough? He hasn't been able to do so with Matt Carpenter yet.
Right.
And say enough is enough. When the day comes, will he be able to say it about Manny? Will he be able to say it about Xander? Like, enough is enough. We need to put a younger player in there. Sorry, Manny. It's an interesting debate for the future. Dan and all of our guests appearing on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
I'd like to chat a little Ohtani next, based on a report I saw yesterday that I'm grappling with in my head.
We'll also play some Take on Woods, qualify someone for a trip to Las Vegas, hopefully, all coming up next with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. This segment of Bennett Woods is brought to you by the Golf Mart. Thanks again to Dan Szymborski from Fangraphs. Craig Elsten crossing streams. Also had him on Channel 10 yesterday as a representative member of the Locals fan club, talking about the demise of the San Diego Loyal. We had it yesterday on the show that announced that they're going to be going away at the end of this season. But they're going to try to win it all this year before they go. So, and Craig was on as our loyal fan in a story that Steve Smith did yesterday on the show. He'll join us at 7:35. 1 hour from now, we're scheduled to have the skipper of the San Diego Padres, manager Bob Melvin, will join us on a Friar Friday management report from Milwaukee as the Padres open a 3-game series and 6-game road trip with the first against the Milwaukee Brewers. Yu Darvish on the mound against Brandon Woodruff in Game 1, 5:10, the first pitch, 4:10 pregame show with Sam Levitt coming up later today here on 97.3 The Fan.
Also got one more appointment you're going to want to make. Stay tuned throughout this show. We do have Fernando Tatis Jr. bobbleheads to give away.
No kidding.
I think all next week as well. We got one per day.
Okay.
It's not on the rundown, Benny, because I just got it late overnight. But yeah, we got Toddy bobbleheads coming up, so we will give one away this morning.
Outstanding. Excellent. Did you see that there are, I don't want to call them black market Ha-Sung Kim bobbleheads, but they are going up on like the eBay sites now after
they were it was
giveaway
happening in game.
Yeah, quickly.
The day of the game.
Like, there were reports that people would buy 20 tickets to the game just so they could get 20 bobbleheads so they could then sell them for a profit.
Leave and come back in.
At the game on Tuesday.
I was at the game on Tuesday night and was walking into the team store, and a Tier 1 came up, said hi, and he goes, dude, hilarious story. I was just out watching BP with my son, and one of the Marlins players on the field negotiated with a Padres fan in the stands.
No.
He wanted a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead, and he said, I'll sign you a baseball and give it to you. And they swapped.
That's killer. You don't know what player it was?
He didn't say what player
That's
it was.
freaking awesome. I mean, he's so beloved. He's so beloved.
I mean, credit to the Padres marketing department for coming up with an absolute home run giveaway.
A bunch of them
this year,
we've
for sure.
We've got a little collection, and I love it. I think it's great. I do want to talk about Shohei here for a moment because I did see a report yesterday. So we got on the air. We talked about the devastating injury, the tear of the UCL, and Alden Gonzalez tweeted yesterday, actually after our show, just said this on SportsCenter. Shohei Ohtani will be with the Angels in New York, and it looks like he'll continue to hit while he decides the next course of action with his UCL tear. So somebody in the comments actually made a very valid point. They said Shohei has pretty much free reign in this organization. He decides everything from his warm-up routine to his media availability, even his pitching schedule. He chose the Angels largely because they promised him this autonomy. If he didn't want to play, he wouldn't. I certainly don't think that this is a directive from Perry Manassian and Phil Nevin, like, hey, you get your ass in there.
No chance.
There's zero chance that's going to happen. Hey, you're still under contract. You're still an Angel. Get out there and hit. I don't think that's the case at all. I do think, based on the convo we had with Eno yesterday, remember what he said about Shohei? He said he's a baseball guy through and through. It's all he wants to do. If he thinks he can swing it, he's going to swing it.
Kind of like Ichiro was as well. I honestly think that while the Angels never had a huge shot at re-signing him, this only helps them.
I think I know where you're going here,
I really think the uncertainty that it adds to the equation may work in their favor when the offseason comes, and he's not only mulling different organizations, different cities, new teammates. He's also now mulling new training staff, doctors. Do they know my situation, or do I want to stay a little bit with what I've known? I've already come back from the surgery once. I know what the rehab was like. I know the trainers, the rehab, people that I worked with here. Do I want to start over with an entirely different group, or am I more comfortable just doing it with the Angels? Maybe even signing a shorter term deal, a 3 or 4 year deal, as opposed to a 10 to 12 year deal where you've got the option to still get a huge payday in a couple of years if you get healthy again. And, that'd be risky, of course, because if you don't get healthy again, you've probably missed out on the opportunity to sign that $500 million deal, which a lot of people like Keith Law wrote this morning, still thinks he's going to get it. Not necessarily because, as Dan Szymborski just told us, the projections, instead of showing a $500 million player, now show around like a $330 million player. But that doesn't take into account the marketing dollars that a team can make with Shohei Ohtani. And it really does not match up with any other player in baseball. I don't care how popular that player is right now. There's nothing else like Shohei Ohtani on the planet when it comes to marketability, not just in this country, but in Asia, around the globe. Shohei Ohtani kind of stands alone in terms of what he can bring to an organization in terms of ad revenues and marketing possibilities that don't exist really with other players.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be one of the more interesting off seasons we've ever seen in the game of baseball. Maybe the most interesting off. I mean, Shohei watch is going to be. It's actually going to be a little bit rough after a while. It's going to be. You guys are probably going to be sick of hearing us talk about it. We'll probably be sick of talking about it.
And at some point, I would guess, there will be a moment, a week, a few days in this offseason where rumors will come out and we will get ourselves hopeful that somehow he's still coming to San Diego.
For sure.
Because there's been enough smoke, fire on the interest. We know that A.J. Preller was extremely interested when he first came over from Japan.
A.J. Preller will be in on
He will be
Shohei Ohtani.
He will be in. And there will be rumors and there will be hot topics about the Padres' involvement with Shohei Ohtani. Now,
and you will also hear, and hey, this has no impact on Soto. We still hope to have him long term as well.
I think the injury affects the Padres' interest as much as any team because the Padres were going to need Shohei as a pitcher when they signed him
like
for next season
year.
to replace like a Blake Snell possibly. And now thinking that he's not going to be a pitcher, not that they don't need a designated hitter as well, they do, but he doesn't satisfy that pitching need likely anymore. You still have to go out and sign a pitcher. And to me, you're going to have to devote more of your dollars and resources toward pitching this offseason than you would. You'll hopefully find some bats. But if Ohtani can't pitch, I do think that changes the equation for the Padres as much as any team.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. But you make a good point. He very well could just stay.
Mm-hmm.
With this injury could have been a good thing, you know what I mean, for the Angels, at least for their chances of getting him to stay where he is. But yeah, he's going to continue to hit. Probably going to use that Bryce Harper bionic arm and see if he can do it, see if he can go, which I really respect. I do. I respect him. I don't think based on the coverage on him, I don't think it's one of those things where he's like, I got to get my numbers so that I can get paid. I feel like he just loves baseball. He just is a baseball guy, and when he's not playing baseball, he's not happy.
How much of an injury risk is it, though?
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
it's like that team's not going anywhere.
Somebody said
next month.
Somebody said yesterday, well, Bryce Harper got Tommy John, and he came back, and I said, yeah, but he also didn't have to worry about. He wasn't in a free agent year, right? So that's a huge worry. And I said he also didn't have to worry about eventually someday coming back to also throw off the mound like Shohei does. So it's dicey. I feel like it's risky. It wouldn't surprise me if he said, I'm shutting it down. Would it surprise you guys?
Well, no, and I was just going to mention
that.
I think, honestly, the smartest thing from a business decision standpoint for Shohei Ohtani would just be, all right, shutting it down, because there's really nothing else good he can do this year. He doesn't have anything to prove to anyone.
Right.
We said
as a free
yesterday,
agent.
he's probably still the
He's
MVP,
the MVP,
without playing in September.
The only thing he can do is either make the injury worse or show that, he didn't look very good that last month with the injury, and just add doubt to the mind of potential free agent suitors. So there's really nothing good that can happen for Shohei Ohtani this month.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he mashes, he's still going to win the MVP.
Right.
If he doesn't hit, is any sane human going to go, boy, he really cost himself some money with that last month?
Not with the production, but I could see a GM going, he's going to be dealing with this for at least the next year or so.
More wear and tear.
Didn't look great when he was dealing with it in September.
Fair.
I might not want to extend myself quite as much as I was willing to beforehand.
Fascinating, man.
I
Absolutely
need a contestant for Take on Woods, 833-288-0973. Call in quickly because we're about to play. 833-288-0973. I also want to bring up, we won't do it here, but talk a little bit more about Steven Strasburg. Paul brought up, I think, a very interesting question. How do you feel if you're Steven Strasburg, knowing that you just made, what was the total contract?
The total
245 million, was it, that he
7
signed?
years, 245.
For
right after the World Series.
245 million.
And he's pitched 31 and a third innings.
And you essentially, you gave them nothing for that. Like, is there an instinct like, I need to give some of this back? Because he's not, and he's not obligated to in any way, shape, or form.
I mean,
but how do you feel about that if you're Steven Strasburg, and that's your last legacy in baseball?
So he won them a World Series and he won an MVP. That's a lot of money.
Right.
To say, hey, thanks for winning us a
but
World
the
Series.
Nationals
and
could
MVP.
have just let him go at that point.
Of course.
Said,
they
appreciate it.
From their perspective, they're paying him for what they hope to continue to get out of him.
Correct.
From his perspective,
He's like,
I would
they're
probably
paying me for
think-
what I did.
He goes, look, I had a hell of a career up to this point. This is my payday.
I'm not in the business of giving money that I make back. I'm not.
No.
I mean, I spend it on dumb stuff, but I'm not in the business of saying,
I've got some thoughts on that. We'll get to those at the bottom of the hour, I think. Right now, though, let's get to today's game of Take on Woods. All right, we got Mickey on the line today. Good morning, Mickey. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
I'm good. All right, Woods
up,
has
Mickey?
left the studio. If you can beat or tie him in our 5-question musical trivia challenge, you will qualify for our August grand prize drawing of a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and 2 tickets to Kool and the Gang performing at the Westgate. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com and check out the $70 million in room renovations at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, home of legendary Vegas fun. We'll give you a little advantage here against Woods, Mickey, by letting you pick our category today. Here are the choices. Still have Will Wonders Never Cease sitting there. The word wonder, the key to all the answers. Enough is Enough. 5 song titles that include the word enough. And our new category today is called Another Dumb Category. It's the word another appears in all the song titles there. So, Mickey, Will Wonders Never Cease, Enough is Enough, or Another Dumb Category? What will it be?
I'm going to go with Enough is Enough.
Enough is Enough. All right, we're reaching a little bit deeper today for 5 song titles that all include the word enough. Do you have enough to beat Woods, Mickey? We're going to find out. You'll have 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock at the end. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie will play a short clip. You need to give me the title and the artist to score the point, and then we'll go on from there. Mickey, you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, put those 60 seconds on the clock, Paulie. Mickey, your time starts when Paul plays the music in the category Enough is Enough. Good luck, Mickey. Let's take on Woods.
I just can't get enough. By Depeche Mode.
That's correct. Which group of 1980s movie misfits from Astoria, Oregon were good enough in the film soundtrack from Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah.
Smash Mouth had a 1998 hit when they recorded a version of which 1965 song by the Four Seasons for the movie Can't Hardly Wait?
Oh my God, my mind just went blank.
Diana Ross reached the top of the peak with which 1970 solo hit that came out just 3 years after a successful Marvin Gaye version of the same tune?
You guys are killing me today. I can't think of anything.
It's a tough one. Let's try this one. The band Garbage was chosen to sing the theme song for which 1999 James Bond movie? Which group of 1980s movie misfits from a story? Just the one. This was a tougher category. I will totally admit that. Stay on the line. Who knows, Mickey, what will happen? But you can't get enough by Depeche Mode. The Goonies Are Good Enough is what the Cyndi Lauper song was called from that movie. Smash Mouth was Can't Get Enough of You, Baby. Ain't No Mountain High Enough is Diana Ross. That's why she reached the top of the peak. I tried to give you a hint there. And The World Is Not Enough is the James Bond movie and the Garbage theme song. I mean, not literal garbage. That's the name of the band. Not casting aspersions or anything. All right, Mickey is locked in with his score. 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods doesn't get the category. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Mickey.
Just can't get enough Depeche Mode.
Correct. Which group of 1980s movie misfits from Astoria, Oregon were good enough in the film soundtrack?
Goonies.
Correct. Smash Mouth had a 1998 hit when they recorded a version of which 1965 song by the Four Seasons for the movie Can't Hardly Wait?
Was it I'm a Believer? No,
That's the wrong one.
Crap.
Diana Ross reached the top of the peak with which 1970 solo hit that came out just 3 years after a successful Marvin Gaye version of the same tune?
Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Correct. The band Garbage was chosen to sing the theme song for which 1999 James Bond movie?
Octopussy.
No, that's way earlier.
Oh.
You're not even in the same era of Bond. We're talking.
You
that's-
chose that one?
That's so far off
It's
being
just a
correct.
guess.
It's not going to cost you the win, though, as you take it 3-1. The category was Enough is Enough. Just can't get
The
enough.
world is not enough.
The World is Not
There you
Enough
go.
is the name of that James Bond movie. Correct. The Goonies are good enough. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And Smash Mouth is Can't Get Enough of You, Baby.
Terrible.
But you did score the win on a
Can't
tougher
get
category.
enough of
You,
you,
baby.
Just horrendous, right? Just horrendous.
But that was a tougher category today, no doubt about it. But you got the win to end the week. We will take a break, come back with Don't Do This. We have some audio from a recent Sam Levitt's Padres postgame show that was...
You can tell that the season, this is not a Don't Do This for Sam. by
No.
the way. But you can tell that the grindy-ass baseball season has even seeped its way into
It's
Sam
fun. It's
Levitt's
funny.
life.
It's
It is
funny.
fantastic.
Cheery, upbeat, glass
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
full, happy-go-lucky Sam Levitt.
Sam was finally driven to the breaking
He's
point.
broken.
It's so good, you guys.
And we'll get to that coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Odyssey app for easy access to clips, show reminders, and more. Simply download the Odyssey app. Follow Ben and Woods to listen to us no matter where you are. All right, I will start our Don't Do This today with the story of Curtis Luck. Luck definitely not on his side.
More like Curtis Unluck.
Yeah, he's a golfer on the Korn Ferry Tour, which, of course, is like the AAA of the PGA Tour.
Sure.
The dream, of course, is that you play well enough to earn your tour card. I mean, that's what every single golfer on the Korn Ferry Tour is trying to do. Earn their PGA Tour card for the fame and potential riches of a season with the big boys. And Curtis Luck is right on the verge. He's made it to the Korn Ferry Tour playoffs, the last 3 events, and if you're in the top 30 at the end of those events, you get your card for next season. So he's right there on the cusp of achieving all of his lifelong dreams, except for one problem. So the start of the tournament, the Albertsons Boise Open yesterday, first leg of the Korn Ferry Tour playoffs, Curtis Luck scheduled for a 7:45 a.m. tee time. 7:45 rolls around, first hole, other 2 contestants are there for his threesome. No Curtis Luck. Where is he? They're looking around. Don't see him. The other 2 guys tee off. They wait the mandatory 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes of grace time to show up, and you can still play in the tournament. You get a 2-stroke penalty, but you can still tee off if you're late up to 5 minutes. 5 minutes and 10 seconds after his tee time, he walks up to the tee, ready to go. Hey, I'm Curtis Luck. I'm here for the 7:55 a.m. tee time.
No. 7:40.
You were 7:45. He was just at the range getting his final swings in and just getting ready for his biggest round maybe of his life. Showed up and by 10 seconds was disqualified from the entire tournament and is out. Now, he could still bounce back. He's got next week, and he said, hey, I'll just come back, show up next week, do my best. But he has absolutely put a huge dent in his dreams by misreading his tee time and showing up 5 minutes and 10 seconds after his tee time.
Imagine that text to the missus. Well, how'd you play? Well, I didn't. Why? I missed my tee time by 10 seconds. 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Yeah, being early is important.
Yeah, well, your philosophy of being an hour early.
Yeah.
Does make sense when you hear a story like that.
I would have just been standing in there waiting for my turn. Just no problem. I'm ready. I've been ready. If anybody wants to switch, I'll switch with you. I'll go now. Oh, that's terrible. This is like a don't and a do this. The don't do this for the caller. The do this for our beloved Sam.
We wouldn't give Sammy a don't do.
I would never, ever give Sammy a don't do this. Ever. Sammy is the GOAT. Check this out. A caller to the postgame show the other day.
Let's go to Sam. Great name. Calling from San Diego. Hello, Sam. Sam here at Petco Park.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, no.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Sam.
This is Sam. You're Sam. I'm Sam.
Oh, my
Hello.
God.
Oh, no. I
Yes.
think you lost Sam. Oh,
I want to
Sam,
talk to Sam.
Right.
Sam,
got it,
you are on the air with Sam Levitt. You are live on the
This is
radio
it. I'm
right
him.
now.
A negative. I am?
All right, Sam, I got to let you go. All right, Sam, you got to be ready to talk. Let's go to Jesse.
Okay, we're good.
There was a lot going on. There was it's seemingly another program on the radio station behind him. Then the phone, you could hear it cut out.
Now, you always have to turn down your radio.
Always. That's standard.
101 for radio caller. You're now listening through the phone because we're on a delay usually.
Right.
And if you're listening on your radio, you're
But
not going to be ready.
It still sounded like it was another show. He was listening to another show whilst calling our beloved Sam Levitt.
Were they both named Sam, or
They
was
both
he not named
were
Sam?
Sam, the host,
Sam,
was
the
going
host.
out to the phones
To talk to Sam.
Sam in San Diego.
Right.
I feel like Sam in San Diego didn't know his own name.
Right.
Though. He wanted to talk to Sam.
I'm not Sam. I want to
talk to Sam.
Yeah, you are.
All right,
You are.
One more. I got to hear this one more time.
Let's go to Sam. Great name. Calling from San Diego. Hello, Sam. Sam here at Petco Park.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Yeah, Sam.
yes.
This is Sam. You're Sam. I'm Sam. Hello.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, no. I
Yes.
think we lost Sam. Oh,
I want to
Sam,
talk to Sam.
You got him.
Sam,
You're
you are
literally
on the
talking-
air
Son of
with
a
Sam
bitch,
Levy.
I'm right
You are live
here.
on the radio right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God. And it just, of course, reminded me of maybe the greatest moment on 97.3, the fan history.
Maybe?
No, it is.
Come on.
Joe in San Diego. Thanks for hanging in there, my friend. Welcome to 97.3 The Fan. How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. You want to come out and give blood today, Joe?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hello. Okay, how are you?
Oh, my God.
I'm doing very well. What do you got for me today?
Oh, my God.
There are 3 different people saying, okay, how are you, right?
Okay, how are you?
Again, Paulie. Again.
Joe in San Diego. Thanks for hanging in there, my friend. Welcome to 97.3 The Fan. How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. You want to come out and give blood today,
Different
Joe?
voice.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hello. Okay, how are you?
I'm doing very well. What do you got for me today?
So the first okay, how are you is fine.
Right.
So coach says, how you doing? Okay, how are you? Great response.
The Fan, how are you today?
Okay, how are you?
It's okay.
Go on with the call.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. You want to come out and give blood today,
Not
Joe?
really, coach.
Okay,
I just
how
want
are
to talk
you?
about the Padres.
I'm doing great.
Hello.
I know.
Okay, how are you?
I'm dead. It's just, there's never, I mean, that alone should win us a Marconi Award. I mean, just send that in to the Marconi people. Like, find something better than that anywhere across the country. It's the greatest moment on this radio station. Okay, how are you? I'm good. Okay, how are you? I'm fantastic. Oh no. Okay, how are you?
It really is
unreal.
true. Comedy is the rule of 3s because
It really is.
first one not really
Fine.
that funny.
Second one,
Second
funny.
one is funny.
Third
the
one?
third one sends it
You're done.
to the stratosphere.
You're just done.
Comic gold.
Just okay.
And
how
that
are
is don't and do this all at the same time on a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
I know a lot of loyal fans felt like yesterday was a don't do this after all their dedicated support, their passionate support of the team. It's going away. Announced yesterday, Craig Elsten, one of those fans in the locals, he's going to join us next, along
How
with
are
his
you
usual
today?
Okay, how are you?
Extreme segment.
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Okay, how are you? Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Talk to Craig coming up next here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
All day I can do it.
Okay, how
You
are
edited
you?
that one. You
That
edited
one's edited.
that one together.
That's fantastic. Oh my God.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the San Diego Automotive Museum's new exhibit, A Trip Down Whiskey Road. It opens August 31st. Explore the origins between moonshine, NASCAR, and heavily modified whiskey running cars that inspired modern muscle cars. Go to SDautomuseum.org for information. Well, unfortunately, our locals, our San Diego loyal fan club, they're going to have more time on their hands to go to like museums and stuff because the soccer team is going away. I know that's a real bummer for guys like Craig who've been passionate about that team from the very start. Craig Elsten will join us. I'll have a Crossing Streams recommendation as he does each and every Friday right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Hey guys, we're getting reports of a solo spin out on northbound side of the 15 at Poway Road, but they're not telling us if any lanes are blocked. Just take it extra carefully there. Earlier crash on the Poway Road exit off of southbound 15. Other than that, things are looking pretty quiet on our roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. There is his smiling face on a Friday morning. Always good to welcome back Craig Elsten to the program here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Craig. Sorry about the loyal. Well, we're all sorry about the loyal today.
Yeah, I mean, what a bummer for an organization that's really poured its heart and soul into the community for the last 4 years. But, you know, you almost have to say they were a franchise created, lifted on the waves and crashed on the rocks of market, just market effects. It was Soccer City and, a really smart move to jump into the community right after Soccer City failed. And say, no, you can have pro soccer here in San Diego, to really speak to the loyalty of fans who felt spurned by the Chargers and spurned by the Soccer City vote and say, this can be ours. And then to really do it the right way. I'll never forget 2020 and that club walking off the field with a 3-0 lead and a playoff berth in hand because one of their players had been slurred and the refs weren't going to do anything about it. And so they took matters into their own hands. They really put their money where their mouth was. And, my heart goes out to Andrew Vasiliadis, to Ricardo Campos, to everybody in that front office, because, we've been there, right? A radio station, not a sports franchise. But the feeling of being around work, knowing that it might be over, and then that it's probably over, and then to hear that it is over, man, there's not a lot harder professionally.
Yeah, we were in that room together.
We
man.
were.
Yep.
Do you know what Craig did, though, yesterday?
What?
So he stole my line. Not that I own the line, but I tweeted yesterday morning when the news came out, there's only one thing left to do, win the whole bleeping thing.
That's Luke Brown's. No. That was
that was Dorn.
No, it was Jake Taylor.
That was Jake's
Taylor.
line from Major League. But he did it on my own television station yesterday when he appeared on a story with my colleague Steve Smith.
Good for you.
Like, wait, I tweeted that. Now Craig's using it on my own TV station.
You know how much stuff I steal from Craig on our show? It's all
I
out
don't
there.
own it. I wouldn't have minded it, except he then used it on Channel 10 later that day.
Well, you weren't going to say it on
To be
Channel
fair,
10.
I didn't see it on
true.
Twitter.
Okay, good.
Just to be
We just
fair,
think, we just think alike. Yeah, Craig and I often do kind of
minds and us
think the same way for sure.
Well, Craig, I wanted to ask you, talking to our pal Craig Elsten here, I wanted to ask you we've been kicking it around all week, the 5 stages of grief. I am finally, my friend, at the acceptance phase, and I've been asking Ben to jump in. The water's warm. It's very warm, and it's like that from what I've read.
I'm still creeping out of denial.
He
the
is.
First stage.
He really is. He's bargaining still.
This team is still okay. They're fine.
But I've moved to the nice warm embrace of death, Craig, and I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch every single pitch. I will not miss a pitch. But I've accepted that this is probably not the year. How about you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was the Soto catch, grand slam that wasn't caught at the wall Saturday, and then the Moreno grand slam in the next game, and that was that. You went 2-5. I mean, look, in every standard that we set, and I was very strongly behind this team buying around the margins.
Sure.
And hopefully not giving up anything of great consequence and trying to improve this club to make a run. We've all thought this club could make a run. And are they going to make the most obnoxious run in history, winning their last 8 games to get to 500? Like, I just
that
feel
might
like
anger
they're
me,
going to.
actually.
That'll be annoying.
If they're out of it and then they win 4 in a row, that will actually anger me at
you know
that
it's
point.
Coming. You know it's coming.
Yeah,
we know it's coming.
Well, I have long, I'm in acceptance. I've been in acceptance, but I've got one thing I'm still hanging on to. And I've brought it up on your show before. I've brought it up on Hot Tub a lot, the reverse 2010. And because one of the keys to 2010 was that anyone who didn't believe in that team believed in them by the end of August, when they were 27 games over 500, and leading the National League. And guess what? The 10-game losing streak in 2010, it began on August 26th.
Really?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
I did not know it was that late. I felt like it was even earlier.
Yeah. It's my first year here. I was like, oh, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
August 26th. So theoretically, right? And this is all I'm down to now. I'm like, the season's over unless you win 10 in a row.
Right. That's
like,
incredible.
If you won 10, literally 10 in a row, 10, 12 games in a row, you could change the course of the season. They haven't done it all year. They're, quite frankly, probably not going to do it because the Padres have played 3 games all year long, a comfortable blowout win, a sluggish but really well-pitched loss, and a game that they take a 3-0 lead and blow it in the 8th inning.
Right.
And with Hader sitting in the bullpen and lose by 1 run. Those are the 3 games we've played all year long. We just keep dropping them in different buckets. So I'm sure we'll keep playing those 3 games the rest of the season. But if somehow, some way, the club put it together, that's the only way that you'll get me back.
Yeah, I mean, 10 in a row, 12 of 14, something like that could get them back into it. Absolutely. But that's a miracle. I mean, miracles happen in baseball, but you can't ever expect it. You can't count on it. You certainly can't put yourself in a position where you need to rely on it at the end of the season. Padres Gone Wild in the chat says, I'm on stage 8 of the 5 stages of grief.
Well past, yeah.
We've had to create new stages of grief for this Padres season. And, in addition to the challenges facing the Padres, Craig, right now, Joe Musgrove's not coming back for a while, and nor should he come back unless they go on that 10-game winning streak. So they'd have to do it without a key guy like that, which makes it even harder.
Right. And speaking realistically, probably the single worst thing Joe Musgrove could do to the next few years of his career is try and push himself back one more time this year. The injury cascade is something he's literally talked about. He's been favoring things, and it leads to other things. And what that leads to, a torn UCL. That's what it leads to. So don't go down that road. A labrum or a UCL tear is going to derail the Musgrove extension, which was one of the fair-priced extensions that the Padres have agreed to. He's the leader for his team. Again, stage of grief, acceptance. Grove isn't coming back. Let him play catch from flat ground. But they're going to do another MRI, and if it shows anything, they're going to say that's it for Joe. And that's definitely the best case scenario for 2024 Joe, is for 2023 Joe to call it a loss, hit surrender, and shut her down.
No, I agree. And people, I think we're going to go back and forth all offseason about trading Hader and Snell at the deadline instead of buying on the margins. But, we all love the move then. You can't cry about it now. We would have absolutely destroyed them, I think, if they traded Snell and Hader at the deadline and then went on some sort of run without them. So that's kind of the way I look at that, Craig. And, I think I'm not going to fault Joe Musgrove one bit if he says, yeah, I mean, I might as well shut it down. I don't, if I thought that there was a run in this team, if they had given me, even at the beginning of the year, a 7, 8, 9-game winning streak that I could hang my hat on, sure, push yourself to get back. We may need you in the long run this season. You haven't shown me enough to think that that's something that's smart to do.
That's right. And in the end, it's just going to come down to this club's offense hasn't had the ability day to day, week to week to sustain itself. And it's the actual last thing that we all thought going into the season, and I thought AC's story that he put up yesterday was such a painful little bouquet of, if we had told you all these things went well. And it does remind you, AJ Preller got a lot of the B moves right.
Absolutely.
This offseason.
The Lugos, the Wakas, yeah.
Precisely. Those all worked out. Obviously, DH did not work out. And leaving this team without upper-level depth, well, that really was the credit card from the previous 3 years that the Padres were staring at the bill for when they walked in. Hopefully, that's a situation that's changing for this club. But they got a lot of the little things quite right. But when you look at the left side of the infield, just being perfectly honest with you, Xander Bogaerts having, 9 RBI since the All-Star break, even when he's hitting. And Manny's been, kind of 2019 Manny, not a great Manny. Tatis has been really good. Soto, pretty darn good. Like, not great, not everything you wanted, but he's still a 900 OPS player. Where are we going to look when it's all said and done? I think we're going to look at the early holes like catcher, and we're going to look at the left side of the infield and say, well, we've got those guys for 10 years. I guess they better do better.
But all of them, Soto included, and Manny and Tatis and Bogaerts, all of them have failed to come through when they needed them to the most.
For sure.
When you needed to rely on your superstars for a big hit, clutch situation, end a losing streak, build a winning streak, tie game, whatever. It feels like they've all come up short in those situations all year long.
Those B signings like Waka, you just look at the seasons that guys like Kim, Snell, you expected at some point to be good.
To heat up,
but Snell all year long, Kim all year long, Waka and Lugo, the seasons that you've got from them, if you just had average seasons from your big four, we're 10 games above 500.
No
we're
question.
Cruising to a playoff.
Greg, let's get to the crossing streams. Oh, you've got one more point. Go ahead. I saw the finger come up.
Just one button on that, because it elides something I think really important. The Padres set up a really nice 26-man roster at the start of the year, and they had nothing behind it. So Waka's had a great year. Lugo's had a great year. They both missed 6-week to 8-week stretches. And you say, hey, well, that's fine. In retrospect, you look at the season, you go, well, that was a really good season. But in that time, who did the Padres put in their place?
Sure.
They put guys way below replacement level that pitched to around a 7 ERA, and the Padres lost the majority of those games. So it's not just putting together a good roster. It's also having the backups available that don't tank you each time that you have to ask them to go. And now we can move. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Craig. All right. What's your recommendation for our streaming viewing this weekend?
All right. I'm going to go with a zigzag for you. They're both on Paramount Plus, and it just depends on kind of your personality, what you're feeling like, and the type of viewing experience that you'd like to cater this weekend. Are you looking for something that is positive, that's uplifting, and that's got a lot of humor, it's got a lot of heart?
Padres baseball.
Sound odd, but I'm gonna
Padres baseball. Yeah. Padres Brewers.
Except for that last part. I'm going to talk about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. If you've ever been a Star Trek fan and you haven't watched Strange New Worlds, there's a lot of fans of the medium that say it's actually the best show of the group. And you're talking about, with Anson Mount leading the Starship Enterprise as Captain Pike, Rebecca Romaine as his number 2. You've got like a really kind of inviting, fun, and funny at times cast. The show is light. It takes itself not seriously. Obviously, this is for one type of person. Woodsy, I've got one for you in a second. But Star Trek: Strange New Worlds surprises me in its quality. And its second season is out now on Paramount Plus, and going through it, I truly enjoy it. And one of the things I think is missing a lot of times in our streaming television is a soft watch, is something that you can enjoy. But if you missed one, it's not a big deal. If you missed 10 minutes, it's not a big deal because you washed the dishes. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is that. It's mission of the week for, with a couple of overarching plot lines. I really, really enjoy it. I highly recommend Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Excellent.
You're on the other side. You're looking for a hard watch.
Yes.
And I mean a hard R. Something that's going to make you very uncomfortable But if you happen to be a fan of things like Jack Ryan, Sicario, the type of like special ops, special forces type of show, Lioness on Paramount Plus is an elevated form of this, or at least a very, very loud and strong form of it. This is the newest Taylor Sheridan show. It shows up as Special Ops Lioness, and it is Zoe Saldana leading a U.S. covert special ops unit that attempts to infiltrate the families or the loved ones of terrorists in the Mideast. So you get a covert agent that's trying to go undercover, befriend someone, get in there, get information that could lead the special ops unit to a capture or a kill. Starts off extraordinarily dramatically. And I got to tell you guys, Taylor Sheridan loves this stuff. If you are into it, the military culture, you're going to love it. If it makes you cringe, it will make you cringe. Episode 2 is where the recruit is being battle hardened by their own, and it's a torture scene. It's like a 10-minute torture scene. My wife literally made me turn it off.
Damn,
you know,
Taylor Sheridan's
our
amazing.
TV.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, and he writes everything, and everyone sounds like Taylor Sheridan, and he really likes the F word. So, like, you know, the F word is littered throughout. But I've just got to say, as I've gone to episode 3 to episode 4, it's actually very good, and it's very engaging, and it's a very compelling watch. So but it's a hard, dark R. So one side, Lioness, the other side, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Either way, either side of the rainbow, Paramount Plus has something pretty good this weekend.
And we just had yesterday that Frasier is returning to Paramount Plus in October as well. So you got another reason to subscribe to that one if you needed to add another streaming service. They're calling again. No. Craig, appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
You got it, boys. Take care.
Buddy.
There he is, our friend Craig Elsten on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. And don't have much time for a turnaround because joining us at the top of the hour, less than 5 minutes away, the manager of the San Diego Padres, Bob Melvin, is going to join us on a Friar Friday. Certainly want to get an update. I don't know if there's been any movement. I haven't heard a suspension officially announced by baseball on Robert Suarez. I haven't heard an appeal yet either, so don't know what the situation is going into this series. Are they going to be a man short in the bullpen? We're going to ask Bob about that and more coming up.
Live from the Pfister
Hotel in Milwaukee,
yes,
on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. I was trying to say Friar Friday.
Yeah, we know.
Remember, not Friday Friday.
Right.
Because
we know what you were
today
trying to
is
say.
a Friar Friday, and on Fridays we have our management report. And today it is a pleasure to be welcoming to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline the manager of the San Diego Padres, Bob Melvin, with the team in Milwaukee as they get ready to open a 3-game series against the Brewers tonight. Bob, welcome back to Ben & Woods. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing good.
We're good. I'm curious. So, off day yesterday with the team on the road. What does Bob Melvin do on a day off in a city like Milwaukee?
It all depends. So, yesterday just kind of hung low and got some stuff done. Had a little dinner and so forth, but didn't really do a lot. I do like Milwaukee, though. I spent a little time here. I have some family members that are from here, and my first year coaching as a bench coach was here, so I do enjoy Milwaukee. But we got business at hand here starting today, so a little more important than doing a little sightseeing yesterday.
Going to the Laverne and Shirley set is probably on the back burner. I got it. I fully understand, Bob. Well, and as you're getting ready and preparing your team for, Milwaukee is such an interesting team because they they have really good arms, and to get the best offense on the field, it's been a challenge this season for you, and you kind of don't know what to expect. We certainly don't know what to expect as fans. Got to be more frustrating for the manager, though, to put the lineup on the field, and how do you prepare them for the arms that they're going to be seeing this weekend? Certainly the starters, but then Devin Williams coming out of there too. It's probably important to get that lead early against some of these guys.
Yeah, they've always for a while now been a pitching-rich organization, and that's kind of a lot of their success comes from that. So, and we face some pretty good pitchers here this weekend, or this week, so we know that. Offensively, we have the ability to do well against anybody. So, that's what we keep trying to understand and get on a run. And some here recently, it's been some of the good teams that we played our best baseball against. So, it's going to be a challenge, and we know we're up against it. I was looking at the schedule. There's 34 games left. You break it down, you can kind of see some pockets and what we need to do. So there's a lot of clarity right now, but, first 3 games against these guys are going to be tough. We're going to have to be able to score some runs. We're going to have to play good defensively and pitch well. And you had talked earlier in the season about every single pitch, never taking a pitch off. When you run up against, some of the, I don't want to say lesser thans, they're all big league players, and yeah, they may have a high ERA or they may be scuffling as of late. What do you point the finger at when you say, when you run up against a Luzardo, by the way, who had been scuffling his last 3 starts? The kid from Arizona, Brandon Pfaadt or whatever, who seems to have the guy's number. Is it an effort thing in your opinion? Or are you seeing them grind out ABs like you want them to? Well, it's never really an effort thing. These guys bring it every day. We have a hitters meeting every day. We go over, obviously what the pitchers, breakdown is. We try to imply how each guy is going to be attacked and so forth. And we have very talented guys in our lineup. So, it's just been a rough season for everybody in the consistency of it. There are games that we play that we look great. There are games that we play that we look uninspired. We haven't been able to run off a win streak, which is going to be important for us to do here in these last 34 games. So, we're just, keep pushing forward and believing that this is going to be the time that we're going to push through and do some good things at a more consistent level. So these guys are prepared every day. The one thing is we do run our guys out there, our core guys out there pretty much every day. It's good that they got an off day yesterday because they're out there a lot, and this is kind of the makeup of the team and the construction of it. But it's not for a lack of effort, focus, or each and every day understanding what the task at hand is. Talking to Bob Melvin here on Ben and Woods, and Bob, what's the status of Robert Suarez following his ejection on Wednesday? As we understand it, that comes with an automatic suspension, although I haven't heard anything from Major League Baseball or from Robert on a potential appeal. Are you planning to have him, not have him for this series, this road trip? I really don't know. I haven't heard anything either, so I'll find out when we get to the ballpark today. I believe it's up to him on not the team, on whether he appeals or not. So I haven't heard anything to this point. Obviously, we'll get some clarity once we're at the ballpark today.
I know that was an unusual situation for him and you on Wednesday. You bring a pitcher into the game, and apparently, as you said afterwards, you were in the restroom when this all went down. That I can't imagine that's ever happened to you before.
I was upstairs, and and I hear people yelling for me.
That's got to be a terrible feeling.
I go running down through the clubhouse, and I'm looking at the monitors, right, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's hurt, because I could see everybody gathered around him. So I go down the stairs and get out there and got a little clarity what was going on. Obviously, wasn't an ideal situation, so didn't feel great about not being there for that right away. But obviously, it's happened. We're going to have to deal with it. We can't replace him. So we're going to have some other guys in our bullpen that are going to have to step up, and that's just what happens over the course of the season, although this being kind of a rare deal.
Talking to the Padres skipper, Bob Melvin, here on Ben and Woods this morning. And, the one of the things I've enjoyed about covering you in your time here is how you will pick and choose your moments. I see fans say, well, he needs to be more fiery, and, I want to see this, I want to see that. That's fine. Fans are always going to think that. Some fans will think you're too fiery at times. I know you got to pick and choose your moments with every team that you've ever managed. Is the message today when you meet with the guys before the game is, all right, like for the final time, this is it right now, guys. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to start today.
Could be a little of that, but we've done that several times. I think everybody understands where we are right now. So I think it might be a little bit more about what we've just talked about. Looking at the schedule, seeing where we are. I mean, it's as clear as could be. It's basically a month. You see the teams ahead of us. You see the pockets of games and where the strengths are and where the potential weaknesses might be. So I think it's going to be more than that. But like you're talking about, this is it now. So, every series, if we potentially lose, could be the last series for us to keep going like this with hope and so forth. So. There are no excuses at this point in time as far as where we need to be and what needs to be done. And we have to run off some games. We have to win a lot of series. We have to play our best baseball that we've played this year in the last 34 games. So like I said before, there's a lot of clarity in where we are right now.
As you said earlier, you've been really rolling out your core guys. Same lineup almost every single day other than, switch the catcher, DH around a little bit, but top six have been the same. Day in and day out. One thing I often get heard fans want me to ask you is, you look at a guy like Xander Bogaerts, who for whatever reason has not been driving in runs for you this year, yet always kind of has been in that fifth hole where you kind of expect a guy to drive in runs. Is there anything to that, like as you've been looking at through the season, as to why those numbers have been down for Xander this year?
Well, I think the wrist had something to do with it. We're seeing him drive the ball now. He started to hit some homers, hit one the other day too. That was actually on a hit and run. He hits the ball out of the ballpark. So, he's a lot healthier. And when you see him pull the ball with some authority, you know that he's fully healthy. So he went through a period there where it didn't feel great for a long period of time, but kept playing like he does and understands how important he is to the team. So, as far as moving him around in the lineup. I mean, you also have to. It's easy just to say move him down a few slots. The other question is what's the alternative. So, with him 5, Crony 6, we have the catcher spot in the 7 spot. Grisham's 9, so it's the 8 hole that really has been the position that right now Cooper's kind of taken that spot, whether it's DH or first base. So it's kind of the same group here right now that are going to get us to where we need to go. And that has a lot to do with Xander Bogaerts. So he's going to continue to be in that spot. He's swinging the bat a lot better right now with more authority, and hopefully his best work is yet to come.
Bob, and we're talking to Bob Melvin here on Ben and Woods this morning. Regardless of what happens the next 34 games, I mean, I know it's been a grind of a season for the players, for yourself, for the fans, for the radio hosts, whatever. It's been very up and down. Feast or famine, Jekyll and Hyde, whatever you want to put it. Where do you stand though right now in your? I know you've got a year left on your deal. And I'm sure everyone will evaluate everything at the end of the season like they always do. Where is your Bob Melvin's head at about coming back and managing the San Diego Padres next season?
Well, I have one more year left in my contract.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to finish out what I started. Less someone else telling me not to.
Right.
So, it's just where I am, but I'm not even focused on that at all. I don't worry about, more years or anything like that. We're like you said, we're getting through a slog of a season that there's still something left to be accomplished with a really good team. So that's where my focus is on today's game against Milwaukee.
What's the status of Manny? I think he said that he was expecting to be back in the field today. He's been dealing with an elbow, tennis elbow, something like that lately.
Yeah, so we tried to give him a little bit of a break, DH him for a few games there, and through the off day, my expectation is he'll be back in the field. Manny doesn't say a whole lot about injuries. He plays through some significant pain a lot, and he posts up all the time. He doesn't want to talk about it. He probably one guy and that I've managed that probably has as high pain tolerance as anybody that I've managed. So it's a credit to him to keep going out there and playing and making no excuses. But hopefully a few games DH and not having to throw maybe alleviated this some. I don't know that he'll be 100% healthy the rest of the entire season, but he continues to play and he has very high expectations of himself.
Now, before you go, Bob, we've had this discussion in the past, not with you, but you guys are in Milwaukee, and I believe you're staying at the haunted hotel there in Milwaukee.
Pfister, yeah.
Have you ever had any paranormal experiences at the hotel, or do you believe in that sort of thing? Because I know you have some players that absolutely do.
I do believe in it, and I know all about. I've been staying at this hotel since like 8 or 9 years old. So I know the history of this hotel. I absolutely love it. And I love older hotels that have these type of histories. The Claremont Hotel in Berkeley I've stayed at a lot, when I lived in California and so forth, has the same type of reputation as this. Unfortunately, I haven't had one of those paranormal experiences. I wouldn't mind, actually, to tell you the truth. So I always have my ears and eyes open and kind of looking for things that you hear at night or whatever, but TV hasn't gone on unexpectedly or anything like that. So I still have a few days left here. Hopefully something happens.
Have you talked to G-Man Choi about this yet? Because apparently he's had a couple, and they've been pretty terrifying.
Are you jealous?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him about that. So I know the guys that have a tough time with it probably don't want it. It's probably not a talking point they want to do with it, especially with the manager probably.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
I'll probably leave that one alone, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Well, Bob, we wish you the best of luck on this road trip. We'll see you when you guys get back to San Diego. But hey, still holding out hope here. We know you've got the talent to pull off that run. Just hopefully this is the one when it happens. Thank you so much.
You got it.
All right, there he is, Bob Melvin, manager of the San Diego Padres from Milwaukee, where he's actually hoping for something that goes bump in the night at the hotel where he's been staying at, since he was 8 or 9 years old. I didn't know Bob had such a history in Milwaukee. Family there,
yeah, I
coached there
either.
for a season. I didn't realize he had such a connection with that city of Milwaukee. Maybe he's been to the Laverne and Shirley Museum.
I do feel better being also a believer in ghosts. That Bob Melvin, the skipper, who I admire very much.
I'm not surprised, Bob. Well known for being superstitious and having his rituals and his candies and his spots that he stands in, that there might be a certain part of him that believes in the paranormal.
Not superstitious with the lineup, though, that's for sure. The lineup, he said, is going to essentially remain the same. And he does bring up the point of, okay, well, what do you do then? If it's not Xander there, is it Sanchez? Is it Campusano? I don't know. I have no idea. But they like what they've been seeing from Xander. He's going to stay in that spot. I think that's important to note. And at some point, I think we are all just sitting here hoping it clicks.
It is one thing we haven't really seen. I know Xander was hot for the first 3 weeks of the season, but a fully healthy Xander Bogaerts, it actually did go on. Not just I hit 300 for a week or two, but a Xander who was driving the ball and driving in runs consistently, like he's done most of his career with the Boston Red Sox. The Padres, this is why it's been so frustrating. The Padres absolutely could go on a run. If Xander got hot, all of a sudden with the guys in front of him, getting on base and getting hot at the same time, we've never really seen all three of those four guys really locked in at the same time. It would almost be easy for the Padres to go on a run if that ever happened. it just never seems to happen where they've all been at the most. It's been maybe 2 of them, and even when that happens, Padres look pretty darn good when Soto and Manny are going at the same time, or Tatis and Soto are going at the same time. It looks really good. What would it look like if Kim was setting the table for 4 superstars who were really, for the most part, locked in for 3 weeks? I mean,
it would be ungodly. We've seen little flashes of it, just tiny little spurts where I can think of maybe 3 games off the top of my head where I would end up tweeting, or somebody would tweet, that's what we've been looking for this year. Kim gets on, Tatis doubles, Soto singles.
We see it for
Manny
one game.
We see it for
those games where they score
season.
double digits.
Yeah.
We see it for one game, and then what happens the next game? 0, 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so often this season that's been the case. We've never seen it for a sustained run.
Correct.
Where 3 of those 4 guys were all just locked in for 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. And tell me what they can do in 13 games in 2 weeks with 3 of those 4 guys just locked in, like, the top of their games that they can be. Tell me they're not going to win at least 11 of those games.
No doubt.
I just think they would.
There's no doubt. I think it'd be almost impossible not to. It is going to be interesting to watch, though, man. And again, they're going up against some really, really good arms in this series. So you just beat Sandy Alcantara. I would say, normal teams could build off that. We have not been able to really see that out of the San Diego Padres. And it's tough because now we are all in a position to say, and Bob even said it, I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking for pockets. And it's tough because he's got to just win tonight, and that has to be his mentality. But if we do this here,
hold on to that thought, because that struck me as well. I want to bring that up. We'll continue this discussion, react to what you heard in that interview with Bob Melvin. If you want to join us, you can. We're going to have Tony Gwynn Jr. on from the Pfister Hotel as well, coming up at 9 o'clock. But if you want to call in before that, 833-288-0973.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your calls, more reaction to Bob Melvin's appearance on a Friar Friday coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's check traffic right now on 97.3 The Fan. You're such an 8-year-old.
Going to need to see some of the dog in the San Diego Padres, the dog, D-A-W-G, right, over the next 30 days or so. And haven't really seen it this season. You know, the dog, see how much dog is in the fight, or how much fight is in the dog is what I mean, Ben.
How much fight is in the dog?
Yeah.
That's in the fight.
Correct.
Dog is
how
in the
many
fight.
dogs
are in the fight?
Are in the fight. We have Hassan Kim's a dog, straight up.
I would agree.
Yeah, straight up.
Everyone likes him, too.
How could you not? Love the way that guy played. He would make me want to play harder and better. To play with a guy like that, I would feel bad if I didn't.
It would almost be annoying.
It would be annoying. Yeah, you're like,
even though he is beloved by everybody on that team.
And it's not like a Rudy thing where you're like, hey, take it down a notch, bud. It's just practice. No, I mean, like, you ever play?
It's a hell of a lot more Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant than it is Rudy.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
He is never going to let up.
It would make me want to, as a player and a teammate, like, if I'm a crap golfer, I'm like a 16 now. But when I play with much better golfers, I play better. I play much better. I dial it in. Playing with a guy like that and not giving max effort is a crime.
I mean, we
it's
just
a
heard
crime.
Bob Melvin doesn't feel like effort's been the issue.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
his team.
I don't know that he would. And that's, we've been looking at that and talking about that all year. I mean, effort is there, I guess. You do still see some really dumb stuff and not in the game, you know, and picked off and not knowing how many outs and swinging at a first pitch after a 40-minute half inning, you know, rolling over. You know, I just, those are the kind of things you look at and go, all right, man, they're clearly not 100% locked in on the task at hand right now. And I mean, I don't understand, but it's hard enough to cover 162. Playing 162 would break anybody. So, but this is where they did this to themselves, man. They're in this position because of you know, their record right now and their effort to this point. So I'd like to see a lot more effort out of this team and a lot more heart and play like you're playing your last game. Because essentially you almost are, right? You almost are. I mean, you only got a 30.
If you haven't already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if you're thinking about your vacation plans and your fishing trips to Cancun, you're done for. It's got to be win this pitch, win this at bat, win this inning, win this half inning every single time for the next month, and let the chips fall where they may. And it's not an easy thing to do, Ben, to ratchet it up, you know, and I know Bob appreciates that the guys that are out there grinding for him, but you know they got to come through now. They make a really pretty penny to do so.
Let's go out to the phones. 833-288-0973. We got Kevin calling long distance, I believe. Kevin, good morning.
Morning. How you boys doing?
Good, bud. How are you?
Good. I live in Detroit, but I was just in Notre Dame a couple hours ago.
Nice.
On my way to Milwaukee right now, but before that, I'm gonna stop by your neck of the woods. I'm going to be in Tinley Park for a minute, having a little lunch, just chilling. So, yeah, I'm going to be in Milwaukee this weekend to see the boys, and then I'm going to hop on down to St. Louis to see the boys next week, too.
Man, I love that dedication. I think that is spectacular. I'll be watching on my television.
That's good dedication too, Woods.
That is. Yeah. It is. I think there's a lot of Padre fans that probably aren't tuning in right now and, you know, show me something before I tune back in. And, hey, man, that's your right. That's the nature of fandom. You can do it how you want.
Well,
but
say hi to Tony and Jesse for us.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have Tony on at 9 o'clock this morning, but give him a wave in the broadcast booth. They always appreciate that.
They do.
A lot of Padres fans on the road this year. Seen him in all the parks this year, probably more than we've ever seen before on the road, supporting the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
I want to bring back up, and if you want to join us on the phones, 833-288-0973. Bob talking about pockets of, like, where you can kind of go on a run the rest of the year. And my first inclination was, of course, well, it doesn't matter. You got to win tonight. You can't worry about, hey, we got a stretch here coming up where we can go on a run and we can make up some ground against, I talked about it this week, you know, last place teams that they have over the final couple weeks of the season. But I do think as a manager, you have to show to your players it's not over. Okay, you can talk about win one game at a time and, hey, let the chips fall where they may. If I was a player, I'd want to know, yeah, okay, if we win this game, win this series, Is it going to help us? And I would like to know that absolutely, because look at this. We got the easiest schedule left in baseball. We need to be able. We can take advantage of this if we play well tonight. And we play well in this series, we can take advantage of this going forward. So you absolutely can't give up yet. We're still in this. Look at this. We got all these games. We could run off 10 in a row at the end of the season, no problem. But we got to win now to make it even within reach, to make it possible. I think that's a valid motivational thing. It's not like, hey, you got to look at today, you can't look at tomorrow. You've got to keep the guys focused in that you are still playing for something right now. You can't just think it's over because there's so many teams ahead of you. You have this run in you, and you have to be able to win tonight to make that run worth something in the next couple of weeks.
It's interesting. I don't know how I would go if I was in his shoes today. I don't know how would I try to go throw the fear at them. Guys, you're going to be a laughing stock. If you don't make the playoffs, you're going to be a laughing stock. The entire national media, your local media, they're going to call you one big fat disappointment.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, for a team that seems like it's been pressing all year long, that seems like you're just adding.
That's one way.
The same.
I'm not saying I would. I'm saying that's one way to do it. Fear, right? The other way to do it is like, I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys so much. Believe yourself. You haven't done it yet, but it doesn't mean that you can't, right? There's the other way. There's the way to go in and just flip the tables over, get your head out of your asses and get after it.
For me, and I'm always on the positive glass half full, I'd say you guys just took it 2 out of 3 to a team that was playing for their life in the last series against the Marlins.
You can do it.
You just took 2 out of 3 from the team with the best record in the American League. A lot of people think he's going to the World Series. You guys are playing well right now, coming off an off day. You should be fired up for this series against the Milwaukee Brewers. You're better than this team. You go out and show again that you are one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. You should be fired up for this game tonight because we're going to go out and we're going to win. We're going to take this series. We're going to have a good road trip. We're going to come back. We're going to go on a run, and before you know it, the 6th game, and we're going to be the team everyone's talking about, and all of a sudden, we're going to sneak in, and no one's going to want to play us in October.
I'm sold.
That
just sold me.
That's what I'm doing.
Did you just pull me out of the warm bath, and now, God dang it, I'm bargaining again.
You have to start over on the 5 stages of grief.
No, you pulled me out of the bath, and now I'm back at bargaining. I'm at the Kobe swap meet right now, bargaining with myself like an idiot. Just an idiot.
That's how I handle things if I'm Bob Melvin.
I love this game.
833-288-0973. We'll get to some more callers. Tony Gwynn's going to join us coming up, and we've got a Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead to give away. Can we do the sounder to call?
Yeah,
let's do that.
If you hear the cue to call, which will be Paulie's got it now.
Okay, how are you?
That's it.
That's what we're okay. You won't hear that again.
You could hear it during a commercial. You don't even know when you might hear it.
The next time you hear that, between
okay,
now,
not now.
Yet.
That's the sample.
I'm just letting them know.
That's the sample.
Now, the next time you hear it.
Now, the next time.
Don't play it again right now, Paul. Then you'll call in at 833-288-0973 to win a Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead. So you have to listen now for that the rest of the show. Here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I didn't miss it. Did Paulie play the sounder to call in and win yet?
I
No.
did
All
not.
right. Still listening for it. Chance to win a Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead. When's that giveaway coming up? Next homestand? Do we know?
Yeah, it's the Tuesday against the Phillies, I believe.
Tuesday game against the Phillies in early September. The Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead. But we'll be giving them away on this show all week long next week. And today, sometime between now and the end of the show. We'll also hear from Tony Gwynn Jr. coming up at the top of the hour. Right now, though, well, in a moment, we're going to get back out to the phone lines. First, though, let's check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by 7-Eleven. Got a crash now on the northbound side of the 805 right before Sorrento Valley Road. Couple vehicles involved, but not showing if any lanes are blocked. Also collision over the right shoulder on southbound 5 right before Genesee. Small cherry Slurpee drinks are only $1 at 7-Eleven. It's a drink so full of bold, fruity flavor that the amazing price is just the cherry on top. Stop into 7-Eleven to get any small Slurpee drink for $1. Slurpee, anything flows. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, taking more calls here, 833-288-0973. Let's go to Joey in Alpine. Joey, welcome to Ben & Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Hey, Woodsy, I was that guy you were talking to on Instagram about the bullfrog.
Oh, yeah, my boy Joey. We were the one talking about Robert Suarez the other night, and he said, well, who uses bullfrog sunscreen? I said, pitchers. They do. They're the ones that keep it in business. It's the if you throw a little bullfrog on there and a little rosin, it makes a nice little paste for you. And it's been kind of a thing in the big leagues for the last few years, and one of our buddies confirmed that as well. He goes, oh, yeah, that's the good stuff, man. The bullfrog and rosin will create a nice tacky surface for you, Benjamin.
Which is not technically illegal in Major League Baseball. Both of those substances are things that pitchers can absolutely have on their person.
Next time you, if the camera pans into a dugout, look for bullfrog, because we're down on the field all the time. It's always in the dugout.
But
bullfrog is always in there.
But at the same thing, it's not a defense either. I mean, Robert Suarez could have the thing CSI tested at a lab and show, here,
it's bullfrog.
Here's the sample. It's bullfrog. It's rosin. I didn't do anything wrong. It was too sticky, and that's all that umpires really need to say.
The bummer for me was watching Max Scherzer be allowed twice to go wash it off with rubbing alcohol. And then Domingo Germán being allowed to wash his hands as well. Robert Suarez had not thrown a pitch at all, and he said, it's just too sticky. And not, hey, man, it's sunscreen. Go, okay, fine, go wash your hands. No, it was you're out of the game and banged for 10 days.
Which is probably how it should have been handled with Max Scherzer.
I agree.
Joey, your thoughts on this or whatever else you were calling in for here?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you guys because, brightens my day every morning to listen to you guys.
Thank you.
And I'm with you, Woodsy. I think I've accepted the fact that this team probably isn't going to go on a run, but I'm going to watch every pitch, and I'm still going to hang on by a thread. But I don't see enough fight in them this late in the season, and I wish there was more fight because being at the playoff games last year and seeing the way that the atmosphere was, I'd love to have that again, but unfortunately, we might have to chalk it up to next year.
Man, that was like a drug. That was a drug. Being in the city was a drug. Remember the feeling on playoff day of just wanting to get to first pitch. I mean, just the nausea, all of the good stuff that comes along with your team being in a playoff hunt. The first inning against Max Scherzer, Josh Bell goes deep. The feeling of elation, and then when that game's over and you win it, you just kind of look at it. You're like, we just went into New York and beat Max Scherzer. And then the next day, I remember vividly just pacing around the house and waiting for the game to start. Man, and I love the playoffs. I'm going to watch every pitch of the playoffs, Padres in it or not. I love them. It's more relaxing when your team's not in it to just enjoy the playoffs and talk as to other teams, like Dodger fans, right? But there was no better feeling. And then walking into the ballpark for a playoff game. I took my son to his first playoff game, which they won, and it was just elite and electric. And I would have bet, Ben, anything I had, anything, my most prized possessions, that we would be feeling that again this year. I would have bet your Civil War pick.
And it wasn't just us or Padres fans.
It was everybody.
The experts, the fan graphs people, I think at the start of the season, the Padres were like 87%.
87%.
Or something like that to make the playoffs.
To be sitting here on August 26th or 25th.
They've overcome long odds to be where they are. Let's just say that.
Really?
They have really overcome the odds.
They have really beaten
to be 6 games under 500.
The crap out of it. Would be like... It'd be like Georgia coming out and losing their first 4 games. You'd just be like, I don't understand. The talent, the coach, everything, the atmosphere. Georgia football comes out and they drop their first 3 games of the season. It's so confounding. It's just so ridiculous. And like I said, I would have bet anything I owned. Anything. I think I did. I was like, bro, I'll shave my head. Whatever you want. Like, there's no way this team doesn't make the playoffs. And, yeah, it's pretty nuts to be sitting here biting my fingernails going, well, 10% chance is still a chance.
Now, the question will be, what will you do next spring? When the Padres probably, with projections, will once again, at the start, my guess is, now we don't know what moves they're going to make, but my guess is they're going to be at least a 75% chance to make the playoffs based on the projections next year as well.
I know exactly.
We're still going to have Tatis and Machado and Bogarts and Darvish and Musgrove, and they're going to have a lot of good players that the numbers will tell you this team should be a likely playoff team next year. Will we all jump in and just assume that everything's going to be okay next year because the projections will say they will be okay next year?
I'll tell you exactly how I'll act. Exactly. I will say that I'm going to be much more cautious and much more actually tougher on the team at the beginning of the year. Yeah,
prove it to me.
I will say that. Then we'll go to spring training, and we'll sit with them, and I will look into their eyes, and by the end of spring training, I'll be driving home with Paul going, I see like 104 wins easily. Yeah, I mean, they're fired up. Do you see how much muscle Manny packed on? Do you see how good they look? Do you see how hard they work?
Carpenter figured it out.
He figured it out.
Back great.
Nelson Cruz. I remember going, dude. Nelson Cruz got eye surgery. Like, it's over for this league. I want to die. Like, I want to dig a hole and crawl into it. I'm embarrassed. We all should be embarrassed, but I know I'm going to do that. I know I'm going to say, bro, you're going to have to show it to me first, and then. Opening day, I'm going to be like, we're never losing.
The funny thing is, and it's what Kevin Acey wrote about in the UT this morning. The questions we had in spring training, like, can Ha-Seong Kim make the next step? Will Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo be a serviceable 4th and 5th starting pitcher? Those were legitimate, the questions that we were talking about. They've almost all been answered in the affirmative. Like, yes, and yes. Ha-Seong Kim has not only taken the next step, he's an all-star caliber player now. Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo have been fantastic. You would have told us that in spring training. We would have. Well, that's not
the division.
That's not even fair.
Yeah, I would have said we're winning the division.
That is not even fair. How good the Padres are going to be this year, if those things are the case.
Kim's going to be an MVP candidate.
Right? He'll get votes. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I would have said this is ridiculous.
We didn't ask the question. I mean, is Manny Machado going to, put up normal numbers? Is Xander Bogaerts going to put up normal numbers? Is Juan Soto going to, I mean, it's not like all of them are horrible numbers either.
I said it yesterday, man, and I stand by this. And I'm telling you, this is where the mirage of numbers.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. The mirage. The run differential, massive, massive mirage this season. When the season is all said and done, Manny's still going to get close to his 30. Soto's going to get close to 30 with probably 900-ish OPS. Tatis is going to get close to 25 and 30 bags.
Missing the first 20
games. Ha-Seong Kim is elite on his own. He's been great. Jake Cronenworth's going to find a way to make it semi-respectable after a really rough go. And you're going to look at it and go, well, what the hell? Look at these numbers. They're pretty good. They all came at the most inopportune times. They never cashed in to this point. They didn't cash in, never got the big hit.
But not once at spring training before the season did we say, will this team be able to hit with runners in scoring position?
No, never thought that.
Because that would have been the question that would have determined the season. And we never asked it once.
Yeah, why would we?
Because why would we?
Why would we?
Why would we?
And why would we ask Bob Melvin, hey, great job being the best in baseball at those close games. What are you going to change this year? Nothing. I'm not going to change a damn thing. We're the best in baseball last season. And it's just it's imperative. It's one thing I'll be looking out for next year. The early games where I'm typically the guy that says, hey, relax, dude. Bro, you got 150 games to go. You're fine. We're 12 games in. No. Win a close game in the week. Prove that you can do it. Things like that. Like, it's changed my perspective on how I'm going to cover the team, I think.
So we got Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us at the top of the hour. He's staying at the team hotel with the Padres in Milwaukee.
Yeah, the Pfister.
They stay at nice five-star establishments as they travel.
Man.
This one, though, is famous in Major League Baseball circles. We've talked about it before. Like
Pfister? Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Hotel Del, it's known for being haunted. And before we bring Tony Gwynn Jr. on, I think we need to revisit a little bit. You have some of the history of the Pfister Hotel and why Major League Baseball players and coaches have said over the years that they feel like it's like a haunted hotel.
Yeah, a young woman named Anna Lardenois. She's a former Pfister narrator.
A what?
She's a Pfister narrator and the owner of Gothic Milwaukee. She does walking ghost tours around Milwaukee, so she spent a lot of time. And she says, quote, It started as a dream of Guido Pfister. He wanted to...
By the way, it's spelled Pfister.
Yes.
The P is silent.
It started as a dream of Guido Pfister. He wanted to have the finest hotel, and he dreamed up the Pfister Hotel. He died before the hotel is finished, but his son Charles seamlessly steps in and completes the hotel. So there's been, over time, lots and lots of celebrities and dignitaries. Elvis stayed there in 1977, 4 months before he passed away, Ben. And Carlos Martinez, the old pitcher of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
He woke up in the middle of the night, jumped on Instagram saying he had just been touched by the Pfister ghost. Well, the next day he plays terribly. He blames it on the Pfister ghost, and the city cheers. So how do you not love the Pfister ghost who just wants the Brewers to win? Actor Joey Lawrence said that during his stay in 2006, he woke up in the night, lights and sounds coming from his daughter's toys. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of players that have said that there's a Pfister ghost. Could be the ghost of Guido Pfister. Yes. And that he will touch them. Very, very weird.
We know there are players who don't want to stay at the hotel. Mookie Betts is one of them. G-Man Choi, now of the Padres, is one of them who feel like they've had bad or supernatural experiences at the hotel, correct?
There was a tweet that they sent. The only time they've really ever addressed it. They tweeted in 2013. The only thing haunting us here is the spirit of hospitality, and it's been here for 120 years.
I mean, as a hotel proprietor, do you lean into it? Because there's certain people
you have to.
There's certain people who are like, yeah, this is great marketing. People are going to be talking about our hotel, but it also is something that would probably scare away some customers. Like, I don't want to stay in the haunted hotel. I'll just go to the Marriott down the street. Thank you very much.
Guido Pfister, by the way, is fantastic. Your calves are getting a lot of attention on social media.
Well, you took a picture of me during the last break.
Yeah,
I got up to stretch,
staring out the window,
and
pensively.
I just kind of turned around and looked out.
You were staring out the window, but the blinds were.
I almost thought about
Have you lost
raising the
your
blinds.
mind?
You can sort of see through them a little bit.
You were just standing.
I know. I was just staring at the blinds, but you can sort of see through the blinds. Like I can look and. I mean, I just didn't have that energy to actually take the little chain and raise it all the way up, and then I probably put it back down again. So I just stood there and kind of stared into the blinds.
You did, but your calves are getting a lot of attention.
As they should.
As they should.
My best quality by far.
Really are.
By far my best quality.
Oh. Pfister? Yeah, absolutely.
Guido Pfister.
Guido.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guido Pfister of all the
I mean, that's the overall number one seed in the tournament of drops, right?
Yeah, 100%. Pfister? Yeah, absolutely.
Baseball is a lot of things, but it isn't boring. Join Rob Bradford on his podcast. Baseball isn't boring. Every day, Rob takes you through the league. Spotlights, what makes the game fun, like haunted hotels. Talks with players, managers, GMs, and reporters who all shine a light on America's pastime. Follow Baseball Isn't Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. What are some of the comments on my calves?
Let's see. Holy calves. Every day is leg day. Which is funny because you literally never work out your legs.
I never do. Why would you? When you have calves like this.
Yeah, why would you?
Well, why
They're
would you?
already worked out.
They're fine. Now I can do all the abs I want. I can't get a 6-pack. I can't get a 2-pack.
That's true.
I can't get one can of abs at all. But the calves, they're good. All right, Tony Gwynn Jr. is going to join us
live
from
the Fister.
The Fister. Next on Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It doesn't need to be a ghost to do that. There's people out there that can do those sort of things. So I don't. I'm not a ghost or paranormal guy.
Would you stay?
Fister? Yeah, absolutely.
Would you stay at room 3327 at the Hotel Del by yourself for a night?
Yeah, it's a nice hotel.
Yeah, you have no problem with it.
They're willing to give me the room. Yeah, I would stay.
Guy would stay in a holding cell if they gave it to him for free.
No, if it was a 5-star holding cell, absolutely.
Tent City in Arizona for spring training. If they let
I'm
him
always,
have one,
one of the things that I'm sometimes jealous, and I know life on the road can be a grind, especially at this point in the season.
Oh,
but I get jealous sometimes of
absolutely.
Tony and Jesse, because they stay at nice hotels, they travel with the team plane. It's pretty cool considering, I've never had a chance to do that sort of thing. So it's definitely one of the things you think about, like, ooh, that'd be fun for a season to travel with a big league team. Now, after you do it for decades and it's been your life, I'm sure, it loses some of its novelty after a while. But joining us right now on our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, as it happens to be, from Milwaukee, in the Pfister Hotel, team hotel for the Padres, is our colleague and radio color analyst for the San Diego Padres. Tony Gwynn Jr. is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Tony, good morning to you.
Gentlemen, good morning. How are you guys?
Doing well. Now you've got some history there in Milwaukee, and how does it probably a pretty decent city for you to return to, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, I love coming back to this place. It's where I got to start my professional career, and I've always enjoyed Milwaukee. People here are cool, good people, and the city's cool. And when it's not freezing like it is normally in the beginning part of the season, it's a lovely place to be.
Yeah, good ballpark. Everyone says usually pretty good things. Although, are they trying to get something new there?
Yeah.
I thought I saw that recently. Yeah,
What? That place is amazing.
They're like threatening to move.
Yeah, stadium's a little beat up. There's no, it's not it was one of the first retractable joints.
That's right.
In the 2000s, and they don't have air conditioning, and so the roof stops, and it doesn't work properly. So they're trying to get a new one here, and hopefully they can get it done because this place, they love the Brewers.
We talked about Melvin earlier, Tony, and I think he's positive. I mean, what choice do you have when you're still in it? When you're still in the fight, granted, only a 10% chance to make the playoffs. I would love to see it, man. And I know you guys would too. Yeah. A lot more fun to call a 10-game winning streak, I imagine. And I think this team has the talent to do it. I don't think that we're in denial. But, what do you kind of put it towards when you look at the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of this baseball season? It's pretty hard to wrap your head around that this team has not managed to go on any of those streaks yet when every other team in baseball has.
Yeah, no, it's been the maddening part of the season is trying to figure out why things have gone the way they are, specifically offensively, and that's where it starts and ends for me is just the lack of consistency all season long has put them in the bind that they're in. And you're right, they're more than capable in terms of the talent they have on the roster to get it done, but they haven't really shown that at any point this season. So it's hard to really, truly dive in and believe when you're not 100% sure it can happen. And so, they have a whole bunch of teams that are ahead of them and that they'll have to try to figure out a way to beat. So they have a chance, but again, they just haven't been able to do it all season long.
I think you can speak to this maybe as a former player, but it's kind of a catch-22 because injuries always are a factor. And we know that Manny hasn't been 100% healthy. We absolutely know Xander has dealt with that wrist. Yeah, Bob even talked about it.
Soto's finger.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the pain on Soto. Yeah, on Soto's face. And we know other guys, other teams obviously are going through it. I know these are tough guys, and we know Manny's as tough as it comes and won't really talk about it. So we never really know. I mean, last year was Manny a little healthier, and this year he hasn't been, and that explains the difference in the numbers. We may never know that, but how much of a factor?
Last year he almost broke his ankle.
He did, but he played well. I mean, how much really do you think is that part of the factor? The part that we may never know about.
Right. I mean, the reality is, in order for any team to have success, you got to be healthy. And outside of Manny's ankle last year, this team was relatively healthy. Now, as you, I think, perfectly pointed out, Manny's never going to let on if he's actually hurt or what's actually bothering him, and that's the way he operates. He doesn't want people to know, and I think that's most players. They don't want to actually give in to whatever it is that's bothering them. And so I think for the Padres this year, it's we haven't had the documented injuries that you normally get, that you see, you can actually put reason to. But unfortunately, that's been a part of the season this year.
Talking to our pal Tony Gwynn Jr. here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you can also speak to this, having spent time in many a clubhouse. I know it's different. I know it's different now than it used to be, Tony. I know that chemistry and playing for each other, that's a real thing, and it's great when it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't exist here, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not in the clubhouse, so I don't know. But it's not absolutely 100% do you have to have that 100%? Because baseball, you can go up and you can still get 4 doubles in a game and, help yourself and your team win. You don't necessarily have to love the guy hitting behind you.
No, you don't. I think it makes things easier. It certainly makes things
more fun,
less tumultuous. But I think you don't need it. As long as everybody understands coming into the yard, what it is that is being asked of them, what they have to do in order to have success, you can get by it. But at least on teams that I've been on that have had success, it's certainly been an important factor. And that's not to say that this team doesn't have it, because I'm around these guys every day pretty much.
Yep.
And it's those type of things stand out. They're pretty obvious when a team doesn't get along or they don't like each other. And that you can't point to any one thing watching these guys every day that would lead you to believe that they don't enjoy playing for one another. That they don't genuinely like one another. And that's been the hard part in trying to pin down exactly what it is that has gone wrong this year. Because when I watch these guys, whether it's Toddy, whether it's Manny, whether it's Bogey, whether it's Soto, there aren't anything that I can point to that'd be like, you know what, that didn't look quite right. There's nothing I can point to. And so occasionally in this game, you just have a bad season.
Yeah.
And to this point, that's what it's been for the Padres. Still some time to go, and I think you pointed out about Bo being positive. He has to be, because there's still enough games left to where you could make something happen, and then all of this gets erased. Now, it's going to be a difficult task, don't get me wrong, but there's still a chance, and I think that's the way you got to keep approaching it until the clock is actually run out.
Talking to Tony Gwynn Jr. here on Ben and Woods. And Tony, I've heard you talk about it with Jesse and with Chris in the afternoons, but want to kind of get your thoughts a little bit more. As a former, big league outfielder, known for playing great defense, as the son of a Gold Glove right fielder, the transition that Fernando Tatis Jr. has made from what you saw like at spring training to where he is now. I mean, we've seen some spectacular out there. I was kind of expecting the spectacular. What has surprised me is how just solid, though, he's really been. I mean, other than the first couple of months where, he wasn't necessarily a straight line at some of those balls, but he overcame it with his athleticism. Now I feel about as good about any fly ball out there as I do to Grisham or anyone else. I mean, what has made him transition so quickly? What have you seen from him in making that switch?
What's funny is in spring training, I was like, he's going to need some work there. Like it wasn't.
It's a nice
it
way
wasn't
to say
fluid. Yeah, it wasn't fluid. It didn't come easy to him. But what I think you saw, from the time spring training ended to the first day he showed up, was a drastic improvement in every aspect of playing outfield. And as he put to me, it's not as though he's doing this for first time. He shagged balls in the outfield as a kid, as I did, and I know how impactful that can be. And so I think there's a natural kind of instinctual way about Toddy, especially in the outfield, that has made his transition, really seamless.
he has been as good as any outfielder all season long, outside of maybe the first week of the season where he came back and the routes weren't as crisp. I can't point to anything that would lead me to believe that he had never played outfield before.
No doubt.
Prior to this year, he has been that good. He's going to win a Gold Glove. In my opinion, I think he's got a great chance to win a Gold Glove in his first year playing right. So that's how good Toddy's been.
What are you seeing from him offensively, Tony? Because I obviously 2 surgeries, and I think people forget that. They do, and they want to see 40 home runs, and he'll get there. He'll absolutely get there at some point. But talking about a guy coming off of pretty tumultuous season last year, the
7 or whatever that have been robbed. I guess
Yeah,
someone jumping
dude,
at the wall and taking it back.
Yeah, give him take whatever he has now. What is it, 20 or something? Add another 7 or 8 easily. But what are you seeing from him offensively? Because he is still prone sometimes. When he gets locked, he's Fernando Tatis Jr. But like anybody, he's prone to waving at that outside slider and things like that as a hitter and a student of hitting. What are you seeing from him offensively?
Watching Toddy, it can get you into trouble about how easy this game can be, how easy it looks sometimes, and when you watch teams approach pitching to Toddy, the one thing that stands out, it's pretty obvious, right? They want to go hard in off the plate. They want to go soft away. And if he chases any of those, it makes the at-bat easier for the pitcher.
Yep.
I think, and I said this back in April, that when I likened him to Ronald Acuna Jr. He missed the whole season with his knee, came back, and he was just, he was better than most, but not himself. I kind of look at it the same way for Toddy. I said this in April. I thought next year he would have an MVP type season. Remember, he missed over a year of baseball, where he wasn't getting any reps, wasn't able to do anything. And so for him to hit the ground running the way he has, and I know it doesn't necessarily jump off the page to you, but it's still pretty remarkable. You look at his numbers and where he's at, considering how much time he's missed. I think next year is going to be the big coming out party offensively for him. But, for this season, when he's not chasing, when he's not giving them strikes, chasing that fastball in off the plate, or those sliders late in the count, down and away, they don't really have very many places to go with him because he can hurt you so many different ways. So I just think for Toddy next year, you watch. We're going to be talking about him in an MVP conversation.
Okay, Tony, back to the topic du jour, and that is the Pfister Hotel. All right, now, are you in your room right now?
I just walked back into the hotel.
Okay,
so I'm not in my room. I'm in the lobby.
And now, do you believe in the paranormal? And have you heard or had any experiences, any teammates that have talked about it before at that hotel?
So I haven't had any experiences personally, but there are 2 towers here, and I've only ever stayed in the newer tower. Now, supposedly, all of the incidents come from the old tower. Now, I have former teammates that swear up and down that this place is haunted. You couldn't convince them anything other than that this place is haunted. Personally, I haven't had any of those situations. We've heard reports of TVs turning on and off on their own. I mean, there are all kinds of things that they say happen there. I haven't seen any of them at this point, but I tell you, I got more than a handful of teammates that swear by it.
That's unbelievable.
That's shoddy craftsmanship from Samsung. That's not a ghost.
It's just a short or something. No, that's the ghost of Guido Pfister coming to haunt the San Diego Padres. I mean, maybe we need a reverse. Maybe we need to get all of the ghosts in there, and it can change the fortunes of the team. We certainly appreciate you checking in with us, TJ. Man, you're the best. Thank you, and let's go Padres.
We're going to get car washes today, so Chief Bubble Officer. We're going to Soap. My son and I both need a car wash. Now that the rains, I think, are gone.
He's asking you for a discount code or
I
something,
got that
just
card.
so you know.
They gave us those cards earlier. I got my gift card, so I'm going now.
By the way, you had me rolling before I came on with if he would stay in a jail cell.
He would. If it was free? Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? What this man will do for a freebie is ungodly.
I've been a radio host for 25 years. It's in our DNA, Tony. It's free stuff. It's just in the DNA at this point. So.
Yeah, Milwaukee County.
Big league ball players have never gotten anything for free, Tony.
I can't deny that. Very well taken care of.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Have a good
Take
trip.
care, fellas.
Tony Gwynn Jr. on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad.
This guy.
Visit them today at Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet Viner Roads.
Hey, we don't even
Bats,
and by the way,
gloves, everything. They travel for free. They go free.
By the way, we don't even tell the audience all of your search for freebies.
Thanks to Kevin at Grangetto's. Big bag of avocados yesterday for free.
By the way, he goes 20 minutes outside of the way to get home to stop by Grangetto's to get a bag of avocados on the house.
So I went yesterday because Kevin was nice enough. He said, "No, I want to give you guys some avocados." So I went by after the show yesterday, and I went to Grangetto's in Encinitas. And I pull up, I walk in, and there's a guy behind the counter, and he's got his AirPods in.
Yeah.
And then a woman walks up and says, "Can I help you?" And I go, I think there's some avocados that Kevin left me. And she goes, "Oh, you must be Ben." And I go, "Yeah." And the guy looks up and he goes, "I'm listening to your show right now."
It's cool.
Yeah.
When that happens.
Why is my face so big?
I don't know, it's hard to take you seriously.
It really is.
It really is.
You zoomed in. If me and Woods are at a level 1, you're at like a 12.
I don't know why that happened. But yeah, so it was a nice experience. And, if you need any garden, yard supplies, equipment, rental type things,
head on over to Grangetto's. Why? Grangetto's, simply the best. This guy.
You got a golf tournament coming up too, I think.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Next
Surprised you
month
haven't
as
weaseled
well.
your way into that.
I think
as
we have
well.
an invitation.
Oh,
I have to look at my calendar. All right, we got 2 segments left of the week. I'll fix my camera. Come back. We'll look at the series here against the Milwaukee Brewers. Got some pitching matchups for you. We can get to coming up next as well. It's Ben's Back After Traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Okay, how are you?
Well, that was impressive. Paulie snuck in the sounder for our Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead giveaway during the break. And the phone lines just instantly went bonkers.
You guys are good listeners, man. That is really, really good.
Who snuck in there and won the prize?
Tevin,
congratulations.
Congratulations.
First of quite a few. We'll be giving away more next week as well. Fernando Tatis Jr. bobbleheads. The giveaway coming up a week from Tuesday when the Padres are back home taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. If they're anywhere near as popular as the Ha-Seong Kim bobbleheads, you're going to want to get your tickets at Padres.com/tickets and make plans to attend that game. Almost certainly going to be a sellout, as all the other bobblehead giveaways have been this year as well. Well, as most of the games have been this year. Wanted to go through some of the matchups for the upcoming series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Today, the series kicks off with Yu Darvish on the mound against Brandon Woodruff. He can be a nasty customer. Now, he's missed a lot of the season. He's been back. I think this is his fourth start since coming off the injured list. He's been okay since he's come back, but feels like
it's the kiss of death.
Feels like at any moment, he's could shove. Then again, you just never know.
No,
I mean, this is one of those games that nothing surprises you with the Padres.
Nope.
Yu Darvish goes out, throws 8 shutout innings. Yu Darvish gets lit up and knocked out after 4. The Padres score none. The Padres score 12. Honestly, I couldn't tell you that any one of those outcomes would be even remotely surprising to me in today's game.
I will say the curse is, though, trying to get back. The San Diego Padres 2023. We will get you back on track.
So,
that's been the common theme.
You made the point, and I forgot about this. One of the guys who has been the biggest Padre killers of the season is now with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Sure is. I guarantee you he's in the lineup if healthy tonight. Is Carlos Santana, dude.
Good God.
Good Lord, he just murdered us.
Thought we were done with him? No. After he murdered the Padres against the Pirates, I think the day they were done with that series, they traded him to the Milwaukee Brewers, and now the Padres are going to have to face that guy again. Now, they could have also been facing Pete Alonso in this series.
That is
interesting.
interesting.
Report this week that at the trade deadline, the Brewers were in some very heavy, close to being completed trade talks with the New York Mets about acquiring Pete Alonso. Fell through kind of at the last minute. They didn't get the deal done, but it wasn't just like, hey, Pete available? And like, yeah, what are you thinking? No, it was like they were discussing player names. They were getting close to a deal, and it never happened. But the Brewers were said to be very interested in picking up Pete Alonso, and the Mets seemed like they were willing to deal him for the right price as well.
I've never seen a player better suited for a team than Pete Alonso to the Milwaukee Brewers.
He might as well be
Ever.
Bernie Brewer.
No doubt. I mean, and I mean, you look at guys. Sometimes you look and you go, he looks like a Red Sox.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like a Yankee. He looks like
What does a
Padre.
Padre look like?
I think Fernando
Yeah,
is a San
looks
Diego
like a Padre.
I think
Yeah.
like Randy Arozarena would look incredible as a San Diego Padre, right? But I think you look at Pete Alonso, you go, you're not a Met. You're not New York. You're Milwaukee,
Yeah.
dude. Camaro, hood open, cigarette.
When I think of a Met, I think of Keith Hernandez.
Yeah. Yeah. David Wright even has
Okay.
that Met look kind of. But yeah, it's a no-brainer. So I'm glad that they didn't pull the trigger on that. That being said, Carlos Santana has just feasted on San Diego Padres pitching this season. So don't let him beat you. I was looking at some of the numbers against Darvish tonight. Nothing jumps off the page, really. I mean, nobody has absolutely owned you, Darvish, on the Brewers. Yelich has got a couple of bombs off him. He's a guy you're not going to want to let him beat you anyway. So, but they're, you know, they make their money on the pitching.
A Diamondback looks like Bob Brenly or Kurt Schilling. It's not good. It's not pretty.
Corbin Carroll is a perfect
Diamondback.
He
What does a
looks-
Dodger look like? That's a tougher one.
It is
like
tougher.
Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, Kershaw, yeah.
Kind of. He's the Dodger prototype.
Mookie looks like a Dodger.
Yeah. They're definitely.
There's a look.
There's a look. It's not a physical appearance though. Almost. It's like.
It's like
an aura.
An aura.
Yeah.
I thought Carlos Santana actually looked like a friggin' pirate. I thought he was perfect.
Honestly, I don't think
pirate.
Max Muncy looks like a Dodger.
He doesn't. He doesn't
seem.
No.
He could be a Brewer.
He could be a Brewer. He looks like a Brewer. Yeah, no question.
The rest of the matchups for the series tomorrow, Pedro Avila is going to get his start for the Padres. Now, I don't think it's his first start. He spot started once or twice already, but this is kind of in the rotation for now, at least.
This is
if he
in
pitches
place
well.
of Rich Hill. Yep.
Yeah. Against Freddie Peralta, another good arm. His
Really
numbers
good.
have been okay, not great this season, but good enough.
Nasty
and then
stuff.
on Sunday, the series will wrap up with Michael Wacha on the mound against Adrian Hauser. Tomorrow's a 4:10 start, 1 hour earlier than today, 11:10 a.m. for Sunday's series finale, Wacha against Hauser.
Okay. You wanted to talk about Steven Strasburg,
No
too.
Corbin Burns. I do.
We out of time? We'll save it for the Reindl Report.
We got one segment left and a Reindl Report, so we'll break a second early here.
Okay.
And then we'll come back. We'll get some headlines from the Reindl Report. Want to talk about Steven Strasburg's
Flub it up today. We got a new edition.
We do.
Yeah, all right. Then we'll do flubs. All coming up in our final segment of the week. Don't go anywhere. More Ben and Woods coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car or something you can zip around in, visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities, Cars.com. Where to next? Here's where we're going next. Reindl Report, headlines. Talk a little bit more about Steven Strasburg, flubs, and then we turn things over to Italian Paul and then Coach John Quintero.
Correct.
Who will be coming up at 10 o'clock. First, though, check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Denick.
Fire crews putting out a car fire on the northbound side of the 805. This is before Murray Bridge, taking up that left lane, so just watch out for a little activity there. Now, fortunately, everything else looking nice and quiet on our roads this time. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Don't call.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah?
All right. I think people are still calling in.
No,
for that
do not. We already gave it away.
Bobblehead. It's already been given away.
Somebody tweeted the other day, like, that intro is like a minute long. I'm like, good. It should be like 4 minutes long.
More.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, gentlemen, we'll start off in Major League Baseball, like the intro says right there. Unfortunately, it's not a great story, I guess, unless you live in Las Vegas. The Oakland A's are 1 step closer. They officially submitted their application for relocation to Major League Baseball yesterday. And now it's going to be reviewed by the relocation committee that there's a few people on there. It's Kansas City Royals Chief Executive Officer John Sherman, Phillies CEO John Middleton, and Brewers Chairman Mark something. They will be reviewing that, and it's just kind of a formality. And then
I don't know. I'm sure the owners are going to just put their foot down and stand in the way. Of course. Well, let's see. You got the Brewers chairman. Who's that? Mark Attanasio?
Attanasio?
Yeah. I mean, they're already threatening to move themselves. So, guessing he's not going to be the one that stands in the way of the A's moving to a new ballpark.
They review the application. They make their recommendation, those 3 guys, to Rob Manfred. And if Manfred approves it, then it goes to the owners, and it needs to be 3/4 of all 30 owners.
Maybe Manfred will step in, do the right thing. You know?
He's usually pretty good about doing that.
Yeah, he is. He's got a real feel for the game. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love for the game, really, is what it boils down to.
Can we get Roger Goodell to weigh in on this as well? I'm sure he'll help.
I'm interested, obviously,
maybe Dean Spanos has some thoughts on this.
I'm interested to see what it looks like that first year in Vegas. It sucks. It sucks for the people of Oakland. It goes without saying. But what is everything in Vegas has come up gold. The Aces, the Golden Knights. If NBA hits there, the Raiders. If the NBA gets there, it's going to be huge. I mean, everything.
Super Bowl coming.
I mean, so I don't. Baseball's different. It's
Formula One race.
Yep. It's 162 of those bad boys you got to put people in the seats for, and you better have a good product. You better spend some money now.
You're going to Vegas. You're going to that Sphere thing.
I'm going to the Sphere in October. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I will not.
I saw the rain caused a little bit of problems with the
really?
video.
That I think was fake.
Was that fake?
Because it had done that before.
Before the rains
no
hit.
rain whatsoever. But I saw that it was like glitching out.
Yeah. We're staying there. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving that area.
Wait, you can stay at the
at the Venetian.
Oh, okay. So it's at this part of the Venetian. Okay.
So I'm not leaving. I'm not going to go walk the strip. I'm going to the Venetian.
Venetian's got a ton.
I'm staying at the Venetian, and I just want to stare at the Sphere all day. It's the coolest thing.
I'll pick you out to a good restaurant to go to.
I can't believe I get to see a show there. I'm so excited.
Venetian. We went to Tao Asian cuisine.
Can't wait.
Unbelievable.
Love Asian cuisine.
Go there.
Huge fan.
All right, next up, little minor league baseball story for you guys. The Pensacola Blue Wahoos. They are the AA affiliate of the Marlins.
Okay.
They have listed their entire stadium on Airbnb.
Oh, God, minor leagues are so creative.
It's pretty cool. So it's $5,100 a night, and the rental includes 10 beds inside of the clubhouse.
Okay, sold.
You get full access to the entire field all night long.
That's unbelievable.
Batting practice. They'll bring out the equipment.
Come on.
You
That's
get
the dream.
The full tour of the entire stadium.
Nah, keep the tour.
Food, merch, some other add-ons and stuff like that. They're going to have a staff on call for you. I mean,
that's such a good
That's
idea.
pretty sick.
$5,100
$5,100
a night.
$5,100.
10 beds, so you get 10 guys, $500 each, and you get to spend the night there. Look at that. They got all bunk beds and a couple regular beds, and then you get to go out there at midnight and go, all right, home run derby.
Get the lights on. Let's go.
2 points off the wall, point for the outfield, 2 points off the wall, 5 points for a home run. Go out there and just tear it up, have a blast. That's amazing.
Like, at first I was like, oh, that's stupid. And then I kind of saw the pictures and was reading about it. Everything you get, and you're like, shoot, man. You get 10 guys in
10
on
guys
it?
would be
That would be a blast.
Such a blast, man. Such a blast. I would love that.
That would be so much fun.
So much fun. Yeah. I mean, we're the flagship of the Padres. I think they should let us do that at Petco in the off season. Yeah, I'll do
Movie
that.
night on the big screen.
No movies. Just go out and play baseball.
We can't watch movies
No.
too.
Watch a movie on your phone.
We watch a baseball
While Paul
movie?
and I try to hit home runs
on the
at
big
Petco.
screen.
No. They do that. They do movie night out.
I know.
Yeah.
And finally, Monster Hunters are currently conducting the largest search for Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, in over 50 years.
There's like enough people out there that do this that they're called monster hunters.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Bigfoot.
You believe in Nessie?
Loch Ness.
More than ghosts.
What about Bigfoot?
I mean,
you believe? Hang on.
I'm not. I don't. At least
Nessie is a legendary sea beast.
At least it feels possible that there could be like an undiscovered sea creature that we haven't. I mean, they're discovering new species of things on the planet all the time.
Lake Loch Ness, it's a monster. The legend has been going for over 1,500 years now. And
Pretty old by
you
now.
believe that more than like
they can breed,
potential paranormal activity?
Like the megalodon at the bottom of the ocean, the movie that's coming out. I mean, in a big trench, like opens up and something new comes out. Seems more to me than just like the supernatural. Like,
when I was a kid.
This is the biological. Now, yeah, I absolutely think that if it had been there for 1,500 years, someone would have gotten a good old photo of it.
They
and it
have.
wouldn't be, no, they have
The
they have
neck,
very blurry,
grainy.
shadowy photographs of it.
Do those photos not dome you out though when you see them? I mean, when I was a kid and I saw like the first picture of the big long neck out of the, I was like, I mean, yeah, that's absolutely real. I'm a sucker though. You guys know that. So.
I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and there was a lot of Bigfoot rumors and Sasquatch. I don't know if that's where he's rumored to stay, or if everybody across the country grows up thinking Bigfoot lives in their neck of the woods.
What is he supposed to be?
What is Bigfoot?
Yeah,
like a prehistoric person, like a
person,
like a caveman types,
like Encino Man.
Yeah.
Right.
The mascot of my beloved, no longer around Seattle Supersonics was Squatch. Sasquatch.
Yeah.
It was a Sasquatch in a Sonics jersey.
Yeah. I mean, why not embrace it? So
So
yeah, they
I
are
don't
doing
know
a
what a Sonic is.
big hunt. What do you do?
It says our purpose is to observe, record,
throw out
and
a
study.
pole and see if you can catch something.
1933, this picture of Nessie. That looks like nothing to me. But the one with the neck that comes up out of the water is the one that gets me.
It's got now the lake has a depth of 788 feet. That doesn't seem like with technology like
We can get that far.
You would
down.
be able to
Yeah.
figure that out, right?
Yeah, we can get some sort of submergible,
that deep.
submersible down there.
It's deep. It's not that
How'd
deep.
that work out last time?
It's always how the movie starts. We've got this submersible that's going down to explore the ocean floor, and we have disturbed something prehistoric that's going to eat us all.
Turns out that photo that I had seen growing up, it's a hoax photo.
Oh, what? Really?
Shot.
Crazy.
What? Damn it.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Everything's
Early ruined your
Photoshop.
childhood.
Everything's ruined. All right.
There's your update on Nessie.
Thank you, Paulie.
You're very welcome.
Look forward to that. The findings of that
Yeah.
team.
So we brought
Be
it
sure
up.
to report back.
We brought it up earlier. Obviously, just bummer of a story. Steven Strasburg is going to be announcing his retirement. 35 years old. I mean, has a career that certainly is not one that you'd turn away, I think. You know, you dream of maybe making the big league someday. The idea of being a World Series MVP, I think around 1,500 strikeouts in his career. When he was healthy at the top of his profession of the sport. Unfortunately, he just wasn't healthy that much during his career. And after signing a 7-year, $245 million deal with the Nationals following the World Series in 2019, he has made a grand total of 8 starts since then. So, I mean, do you want to do the math? Or
You can do that math. I'll give you this math
All right.
real quick. Leaves the game with a 113-62 record, a 3.24 ERA, 1,723 strikeouts, Ben, in the playoffs. 55 and a third innings at a 1.46 ERA. That is Hall of Fame trajectory for this young man.
I was just going to ask, Steven Strasburg.
No.
Hall of Fame?
No, he's not. But he would have been. Yeah, when healthy.
But the question we kind of threw out earlier was, do you feel bad at all if you're Steven Strasburg that essentially you made $30.6 million per start for your contract that you signed after 2019?
Whoa.
8 starts, you got $30 million for each of them for a total of $245 million. It was supposed to make 7 years worth of starts. So they were thinking they'd have you for, 200, 220 starts. You made 8 in that entire contract. And
it's not, that's, yeah, I'm not on it.
No. I mean, he doesn't have to.
I said it earlier. If I'm him, I'm looking at I got paid for the career that I had.
Yeah, correct.
If I'm the team,
You're like,
you offer that contract,
wanting
based
it
on
again,
hoping
more and
for
more and more. Yeah.
Not you never pay somebody based on what they did.
You know,
You're paying for them.
I just read this part too in the Washington Post article. He's now going to deal with severe nerve damage.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up.
Right.
Because to me, it's not, you don't feel bad because what he has gone through over the last few years, he'd probably go and have another World Series MVP season for free. He'd go out and he would pitch for free if he knew he could win a World Series ring.
Or, you know what? If he could do it pain-free for a season and give it a shot.
What was, I'm sure, the hardest thing that he's ever done in his life is to have to live through the last few years.
No doubt. He said he struggled with mundane tasks such as lifting his daughters or opening a door with his right hand.
And money doesn't make it better.
No.
I'm sure it was just as torturous, but hey, soften the blow a little bit. He's set for life. His family's set for life. So I don't think he has to feel bad at all.
I don't either.
About the contract that he signed.
I mean, they gave him the contract.
He didn't want to get hurt. He didn't choose to be injured. He gave so much of himself to the Washington Nationals that it turned out he gave a little bit too much and was never able to come back. You don't feel bad about that. You feel good. You feel proud for what you accomplished. You know you left it all out there. It's not like, I'm just tired of playing baseball and I just want to give it up.
Yeah,
but
I'm
I
going to
still
take
want
my money and run.
No.
He's,
You tried to come back multiple times, grueling surgeries, rehabs, over and over again. Misery.
Local connection. It's very kind of Alex Smithy.
Yeah,
I mean, he kept trying. He had nothing to prove, and he kept coming back.
Said the last part of the article says when his expectations lowered in recent months, Strasburg just wanted to pitch in one more game. To jog out to the Nationals Park mound to feel the dirt beneath his cleats.
Very Alex Smith-like.
He struggled with the perception that he was collecting millions of dollars while sitting on his couch. But next month, instead of visiting the stadium to play, he'll do so to publicly discuss the end of the line. A giant poster of him still looms above the center field concourse. Soon, though, his giant shadow should fade. Yeah, I mean, very dramatic, certainly, and he'll take with him he's set up for the rest of his life, certainly. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't open a door, and pick up your kids, what's it worth to you?
I know this is a hypocritical because I'm not a Nationals fan, so I don't care at all. I don't think he has one thing to feel bad about, but neither does Drew Pomeranz. He signed a deal and he's been hurt and he's tried to come back, and I think we make light of it sometimes. Frustrating. Would have been nice to have him in the bullpen the last couple of years when the Padres needed a tough lefty, and he has been unable to go. But same thing for him. He keeps going back, doing the rehab, doing the surgeries, going on minor league, trying to throw, trying to get back. And just because he hasn't been able to
Well, hang on,
doesn't mean you should feel guilty or bad about that.
All right, let's make a pact right now. Drew Pomeranz wins World Series MVP. There's no more Drew Pomeranz slander.
Correct.
Build him a statue.
Yeah, build him a statue.
Fair enough, but he got paid for what he had done. He had some years where he was one of the top relievers in baseball, and he got paid for it. And then he got hurt, and he's been worthless for the Padres the last couple of years.
I don't know how it typically works. Do teams usually have like a way out of contracts when a player like retires due to injury?
I would imagine
because they did not. I read they did not insure this. The Nationals.
Some contracts are insured. It just like all insurance. The ones that you really want to insure, like you feel like, oh, this could be a tough one. The insurance is so expensive because the insurance company knows, oh, yeah, you're going to insure a pitcher who's had Tommy John surgery. Good luck. That's a $2.5 million a year policy to get anything like that. So, yeah, you get insurance like on a young player that you signed, but it's less. But then again, you don't expect him to get hurt at all. So
the Rays have it on Wander Franco.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, they're insured on him. So that's what I read at least. So
I mean,
yeah, he has
from a business standpoint. Talking about the team, is that the worst contract in like sports history?
Business standpoint, probably. Yeah. Probably the least.
8 starts for $245 million.
Least bang for your buck there, I would imagine. But hey, man, great career. Got a World Series ring, World Series MVP.
I will never forget his debut.
His debut was ungodly.
14 strikeouts.
It was unbelievable, man. I would kill for that.
Rendon's isn't looking too good.
No, that's true. That's true.
Pujols wasn't very good with the Angels.
No, but at least he was in there sometimes, But no, it's tough for him. But yeah, I hope he gets healthy, and healthy enough to live. And but he'll never take that away from him. His career was amazing.
That San Diego State portion of it was unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Electric Factory.
Good week, gentlemen.
Yep. Great week.
Everyone have a really good weekend. We're going to finish things up with some flubs here on 97.3 The Fan.
And of course, San Diego State taking on number 14 U-Haul on U-Haul. Ring it.
All right, we'll play this audio for you.
Guys.
Gnarly.
It's gnarly.
Out of St. Louis, California. First hour of Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on Wednesday morning.
Glad to have you with me.
Wherever we are. And both times, Austin Nolan drove in the one run.
Who is Austin Nolan?
Browns, Bengals, Ravens, 3-2-2 teams in that division. Ballast Point Beer, the official craft beer of the San Diego Padres, at Ballast Point in Little India.
He's not 35.
But he will be before the contract is done.
What is a contract?
Holiday season is
almost
here.
contract.
30 days, half September.
And that is do this for a Wednesday.
Don't.
Ben Woods, back after checking traffic on 97.3 FAM. He's got the 5th most wins coaching time, all-time coaching. 5th most, yes. February 12th, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. State Farm Stadium.
That's not what I heard.
It's not what I heard either.
Our first sound from Padres Spring Training 2013.
Yes.
I think when a veteran pitcher is having success with those numbers, 6-year history of Major League Rugby.
What is rugby?
Sam Springtime, San Diego's #1 sports station, 93 The Fan.
We're just talking about Landon Jonovan.
Who is Landon Jonovan?
All right, back after a check of traffic here on 91.37 The Fan. Almost the entire 97.3 The Crew is coming out.
And then, of course, Joe Darvish and the kettlebell on the toe. Paul Reindl is our executive producer, YouTube director.
What's the director?
He's the director.
The Sockers, they haven't lost a season all home, so we need you out there.
Greg Elsten will join us with some streaming television. In which Grammy-winning Beatles song does Paul McCartney sing about the words that go together well? He was our man on the scene in the Beast of the Belly, Dodger Stadium, on the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan.
What is Carlsbad?
Are you okay?
What is happening right now?
If you like brisket and you're not going to Grand Ole Barbecue, you're doing it wrong in North Park, at Flynn Springs, and out at the ballpark. North Park. 97.3 The Fan.
Paul's got some really good audio coming up in the Reindl Report as well from Gabe Kapler, manager of the Giants, that you won't want to stay tuned for.
Sits down and talks to the owner of the Baltimore Orioles, Peter Angelos.
Baltimore what?
Orioles. What'd I say?
That's all, folks.
Did I make that, by the way?
Yeah, nice shot.
Did I?
Yeah.
Holy
I
crap.
didn't even see it. That was a no-look.
That was a no-look garbage throw into the, we're 15 feet away.
Literal
at
garbage
least.
throw.
Yeah, made it.
Garbage. Into the garbage.
And that bodes well for the San Diego Padres tonight. I'm feeling lucky.
Does it?
Yeah. The shot heard around the world right there, Benny.
We're looking for anything to get something
anything.
going here. We had Bob Melvin on earlier today. If you missed it, Go back on the Odyssey app, 8 o'clock. You can hear Bob Melvin still has the hope that this team has a run at the end of the season in it that can take them to the promised land of the playoffs. He is not resigned to the acceptance phase of the 5 stages of grief yet.
You and Tony Gwynn Jr. might have pulled me out of it again, for the love of God. Here we go again. I'm bargaining with myself, and I think most Padre fans are.
I think the key is Xander going forward. He might be heating up a little bit. And if he has just one run with some driving the ball, some power, some RBI, can make a big difference for this team this last month of the season.
I want to believe, man. I want to believe so badly. All right, got to win tonight.
We could be singing a different tune on Monday morning.
And we probably
will find out. We'll be here at 6 a.m. either way. Looking forward to chatting with you again. But till then, have a great weekend. Italian Paul, Coach John Quintera coming up next for Paul Reindl, our executive producer and imaging director, and Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. Thanks for joining us on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.